Important update about YouTube playlists. Hey everyone. We've received many messages asking why our YouTube playlists aren't showing up. Do we create YouTube playlists? Yes, we absolutely do. So why can't you see them? Honestly, we're not sure. We've been in contact with YouTube support for several months now, but we still haven't received a clear answer or solution. After much discussion, our team has decided to take matters into our own hands. We believe the issue might be related to the number of playlists we've created on a single channel, possibly too many. Our solution? We're launching 2 additional YouTube channels, giving us a total of 3. This way, we can organize our audiobooks better and avoid the playlist visibility issue in the future. This change only affects our YouTube audience. If you're a patron supporter, you can still access all our audiobooks by visiting the collection menu on Patreon. Thanks so much for your time and continued support. Happy listening, anyway. That's what Biwajazo thinks. Damn. It's the Hidden Mist Village technique of Hidden Mist Village. Quickly gather back to back. The remaining 3 Anbu of Hidden Clouds Village quickly gathered together. The 3 people huddled together, their eyes were trying hard to search for the enemy in the fog. Fire style, great fireball. At this moment, a burst of firelight suddenly came from above them. When they looked up, it was a huge fireball falling from the sky. Boom. The fire style, great fireball, just fell right in the center of the 3 people, instantly burning their backs. And it blasted all 3 of them away. Among them, one who was blasted away was caught by Seisaori with one hand. The giant puppet, when holding an Anbu of Hidden Clouds Village, was like holding a little rabbit. Seisaori casually threw it to the ground. The body of the Hidden Clouds Village Anbu hit the solid ground heavily. The other party opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood, and more than a dozen bones in his body were broken. Seisaori slowly lifted his big foot. He was about to give this Hidden Clouds Village Anbu a fatal blow. But at this moment, 3 kunai flew from an unknown direction. The kunai tore through the fog and hit Seisaori's puppet accurately. What was surprising was, each of the 3 kunai was tied with an explosive tag, and each explosive tag was slowly burning. At the moment when Seisaori's deadly foot hadn't fallen yet, the explosive tags exploded. Boom. 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 The shockwave caused by the explosion of the 3 explosive tags blew the Hidden Clouds Village Anbu on the ground away, and also made Seisaori's puppet a bit unsteady. Fortunately, under Seisaori's control, the puppet quickly stabilized. The shockwave caused by the explosion also scattered the fog. Not only can the people outside see the group of people inside, it also allows the group of people inside to see the people outside. How dare you guys make a trouble on the territory of the Whitebeard pirates? A childish voice sounded from one direction. Naruto was playing with a kunai in his hand, a smile on his little face, and he walked slowly towards this side. You can see. The kunai in Naruto's hand is also tied with an explosive tag. This means that the 3 kunai that suddenly appeared just now were thrown in by Naruto. As for why Naruto has so many explosive tags in his hand? Of course, it was given by Biwajazo. The reason Naruto appeared here so quickly was also because Biwajazo's clone hurriedly went to inform the Whitebeard pirates. Upon hearing about the appearance of the Akatsuki organization, Naruto didn't hesitate at all. He was the first to rush over. 4 people, huh? Naruto's gaze lingered on the 4 members of the Akatsuki organization in front of him. He muttered. I've met 3 of them before. Seisaori was hidden inside a giant puppet. Naruto had never seen this kind of puppet, so he didn't recognize Seisaori. But Orochimaru, Itachi Uchiha, Biwajazo, these 3 people can be considered Naruto's old acquaintances. Especially Itachi Uchiha. Naruto squinted his eyes. He looked at Itachi Uchiha and said, You, who are so cold-blooded as to kill your own family and clan, dare to show up. If I had done such a thing, whether voluntarily or forced, I would have been so ashamed that I would have chosen to end myself. You actually have the face to live in this world. Are you afraid to go to the underworld, to face your father, mother, and clan? You are really quite cowardly. He made such a sharp comment towards Itachi Uchiha. Naruto's dislike for Itachi Uchiha is very deep. What he despises the most is a coward who kills his own family. In Naruto's eyes, Itachi Uchiha is that kind of coward. In the end, did we attract the Whitebeard pirates? Orochimaru had already ignored the 5 Hidden Clouds Village Anbu. Because in a short period of time, all 5 Hidden Clouds Village Anbu had lost their combat power. Nice to see you again, Naruto Uzumaki. Orochimaru licked his lips. He actually took the initiative to greet Naruto. Then, Orochimaru asked Naruto. You should have taken very good care of the child I adopted, right? He's doing quite well in the Whitebeard pirates. We're trying to sever your bond with him. A sudden voice answered Orochimaru's question before Naruto could speak. Orochimaru turned his head to look in the direction where the voice came from, and found a girl with long black hair. The girl was wearing the clothes of the Uchiha clan, and there was also the Uchiha clan emblem on her clothes. After Izumi Uchiha answered Orochimaru's question for Naruto, she put her gaze on Itachi Uchiha. At this moment, Itachi Uchiha's gaze also met hers. Izumi slowly took a deep breath. She suppressed the anger rising in her chest. I had imagined we would meet again in many ways, but I didn't expect it to be in such a coincidental way. Izumi Uchiha's hands were already clenched into fists. It can be seen that the moment she saw Itachi Uchiha, her mood became very unstable. Because Itachi Uchiha is one of the main culprits that almost led to the destruction of the Uchiha clan. If she hadn't hurriedly moved her mother out of the Uchiha residence before, she and her mother might have died at the hands of Itachi Uchiha, and she would never have had the chance to become Pop's daughter in this life. She's a survivor of the Uchiha clan. Orochimaru looked at Izumi Uchiha with interest, then turned his head to look at Itachi next to him. He chuckled. Itachi-kun, this girl seems to be full of hatred and anger towards you. Looking at her eyes, it seems like she can't wait to tear you in half. Itachi Uchiha fell into silence. He didn't know what to say. Knock. 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 The sound of a scabbard hitting the ground slowly rang out, and another member of the Whitebeard pirates walked over from here. Shisui held a guide cane in his hand. Inside the guide cane was a ninja sword. This was a new weapon he had specially commissioned a craftsman to make for him. Itachi, long time no see. Although Shisui couldn't see anything, he could feel Itachi's presence, and he could hear everyone's conversation. His expression was somewhat complex. Shisui sighed softly. I don't know why you chose to do such an extreme thing, all I know is that in my eyes, you've messed everything up. Itachi, you're so wrong, you've become a bit strange to me. TSK, it's really lively here. You guys wouldn't mind adding me, would you? Kisame suddenly appeared on the roof of a building. Carrying the large sword Samada, he looked down at the crowd below. Orochimaru-sama, Itachi, nice to see you again. Kakashi also appeared. With two dead fish eyes open, Kakashi's face showed a bit of helplessness. Why is it that every time I leave Hidden Leaf Village, one big thing after another keeps happening? Kakashi-senpai? Itachi Uchiha was suddenly startled. Orochimaru raised an eyebrow, curiously asking. Kakashi? You also joined the Whitebeard pirates? Kakashi nodded. But he responded to Orochimaru. Hey, this is really interesting. Orochimaru gloated. Now that the teacher is here, how many people can he use? Hey. Orochimaru. A very familiar voice entered Orochimaru's ears. I thought Jiraiya would be the first to find your whereabouts, but I didn't expect that I would be the first to find you. Orochimaru was stunned. Tsunade? In his line of sight, Tsunade was also walking towards here. Why is Tsunade here? Could it be she joined the Whitebeard pirates? How is that possible? Before Orochimaru had time to wonder, another childish voice came from not far away. Orochimaru could feel the anger and killing intent in the voice. Uchiha. Itachi. Sasuke arrived, his eyes were red, his killing intent could not be concealed, and his anger could not be suppressed. Orochimaru, Itachi Uchiha, Biwajazo, say sorry. They were surrounded by the Whitebeard pirates. Chapter 253, Sasuke vs Itachi. The tense standoff between the Whitebeard pirates and the Akatsuki. The hatred in Sasuke's heart for Itachi Uchiha is indescribable in words. Since the day the Uchiha clan was annihilated, Sasuke could dream of that bloody night every night. Itachi Uchiha had even used Genjutsu to make Sasuke watch with his own eyes how his parents died at the hands of his own brother. And that scene was replayed countless times. If given a chance, Sasuke would not hesitate to stab the kunai in his hand into Itachi Uchiha's chest. The bond of kinship was completely severed when Itachi Uchiha turned his butcher knife on his own family. No matter what Itachi Uchiha says, no matter what reason he gives, Sasuke will not listen, and he does not want to listen. And the reason why Sasuke is desperate to become stronger, training every day until he is covered in scars, is to one day be able to kill Itachi Uchiha with his own hands. Sasuke originally thought that the next time he saw Itachi Uchiha, it might be several years later, or even 10 years later. After all, that bastard who turned his sword on his own family would definitely hide from the ninja world. Unexpectedly, Itachi Uchiha appeared in front of him alive and well. That face, even if it turned to ashes, Sasuke would never forget. Damn it. Sasuke was about to grind his teeth, his Sharingan unconsciously activated, a single Tomoe slowly rotating in his pupils. If anyone observed his eyes carefully, they would find that another part of his eyes had a small black dot slowly forming. But it seemed to lack something, which made this small black dot not turn into the second Tomoe. I want to kill you. Sasuke paused after each word he said, showing the murderous intent in his heart. With each step Sasuke took forward, the speed of the second step was faster than the previous one. After taking a few short steps forward, he had already rushed towards the direction of Itachi Uchiha without hesitation. Sasuke's speed was so fast that in the eyes of ordinary people, it seemed as if only a residual image had passed. Before Sasuke reached Itachi, he had already taken out a kunai from his ninja tools bag with one hand. Sasuke, who was holding the kunai, appeared in front of Itachi in less than 2 seconds, and the kunai stabbed upwards towards Itachi's chest. This strike was aimed at Itachi Uchiha's heart. If hit, it could kill the opponent on the spot. Just at this critical moment, a hand suddenly grabbed Sasuke's wrist, making the kunai in his hand unable to advance an inch no matter what. The sharp little tip of the kunai was less than 2 centimeters away from Itachi Uchiha's chest, and it was about to touch his clothes. Has it been 2 or 3 months since we last met? Why are you still so weak? Although Itachi was a bit surprised at Sasuke's speed, he still spoke in a cold tone with an expressionless face. Someone like you doesn't even have the chance to touch my clothes. Damn it. Sasuke gritted his teeth. After letting go of the kunai in his hand, he also grabbed Itachi Uchiha's wrist with his other hand. Using Itachi's body to borrow strength, Sasuke decisively raised a foot and kicked towards Itachi Uchiha's head. Seeing this, Itachi slightly exerted force on his arm, directly disrupting Sasuke's movement. Then a knee strike fiercely hit Sasuke's abdomen. The bitter water in his stomach almost vomited out. Sasuke's eyes were wide open. Do you know what you look like now? Like a clown who wants to amuse the audience with exaggerated body movements. Itachi started to exert force on the palm of his hand holding Sasuke's wrist. He said coldly. Unfortunately, no matter how hard you try, you can't please me. Is your hatred only to this extent? This guy. Just as Kisame was about to step in and take action, he was stopped by Shizue. Kisame looked at Shizue with some confusion. Shizue explained. Let Sasuke vent a bit. Whether he beats Itachi Uchiha, or Itachi Uchiha beats him, it can let him vent his hatred in his heart. Hearing this, Kisame could only suppress his displeasure. And now Sasuke's wrist has been pinched by Itachi Uchiha for a while and it hurts. He gritted his teeth and endured the pain in his wrist. His other hand quickly took out another kunai and stabbed towards Itachi Uchiha. Itachi let go of his hand and took a step back, easily dodging this strike. Sasuke, whose hands were freed, first threw the kunai in his hand at Itachi, then taking advantage of this excellent opportunity, Sasuke quickly formed seals with both hands. Fire style, great fireball. He spat out a fireball from his mouth. The firelight of the fireball illuminated Itachi Uchiha's face with some orange red color. In Itachi's pair of 3 Tomoe, a hint of surprise flashed. He originally thought that Sasuke, who had joined the Whitebeard pirates, would stagnate in strength due to the dissipation of hatred in his heart. But the power that Sasuke is showing now is simply worlds apart from a few months ago. The fire style, great fireball, directly engulfed Itachi Uchiha's body. His body seemed to turn into ashes under the intense fire. Huff. Is he dead? Sasuke was panting heavily, making so many moves in such a short time because he was pushing his limits to the extreme. My foolish little brother. A familiar voice rang out from behind Sasuke, causing his pupils to shrink. When Sasuke hurriedly turned around, a hand directly strangled Sasuke's throat. Itachi lifted Sasuke up with one hand, a pair of calm eyes, and Sasuke's eyes full of hatred stared at each other. I didn't expect our Uchiha clan to produce such a waste. In an instant, Sharingan Genjutsu was directly injected into Sasuke's consciousness. Itachi prepared to let Sasuke watch the details of the Night of Annihilation a few more times. Especially to let Sasuke witness the death of his parents again. He believes that only in this way can Sasuke's true hatred be completely stimulated in his heart. It was also at this moment that Sasuke's mind suddenly flashed through a series of slides, all of which were the details of the Night of Annihilation. He once again saw Itachi Uchiha killing each of his clansmen with his own eyes, and also saw Itachi Uchiha killing his father and mother. In the Genjutsu, the crimson blood splashed from his parents' bodies and splashed on his face. The warm blood made Sasuke's eyes gradually enlarge, and a few traces of fear flashed in the depths of his eyes. In the Genjutsu, Sasuke also saw Itachi Uchiha, who killed his parents, slowly looking towards him with a ninja sword in his hand. The strong fear and psychological shadow that were aroused made Sasuke run wildly outwards, and soon he escaped from the mansion and came outside. But what came into view was a ground full of corpses. All of them were the bodies of the Uchiha clan. Every person's death was very tragic, and the faces of the corpses were frozen with fear. Hate me, despise me, live on with this hatred. In the Genjutsu, Itachi Uchiha also chased after him step by step, and the ninja sword in his hand was still dripping blood. Sasuke was terrified, he still wanted to continue to run away. But just as he turned around, a scene in the distance made him freeze all over. Because he saw a long flagpole standing in the distance, and a huge black cloth was hanging on top of the flagpole. Under the moonlight, the pattern on the black cloth appeared in front of Sasuke. That was the pirate flag of the Whitebeard Pirates. That's right, that direction is the temporary residence of the Whitebeard Pirates in Hidden Leaf Village. Naruto, Pops, Karen, Hinata, Shisui, and so on, their family, they are all there. And Sasuke Uchiha has long been a crew member of the Whitebeard Pirates. He is even the son of Whitebeard Pops. So, what am I really afraid of? I'm under Genjutsu. Sasuke suddenly woke up, he wanted to control his physical body with a strong will. When Itachi Uchiha in the Genjutsu was closing in step by step, Sasuke actually did it. In reality, he fumbled out another kunai from the ninja tools bag in a daze, and stabbed his thigh hard with it. Puchy, the intense pain made Sasuke forcibly break free from the Genjutsu. Sasuke's eyes widened instantly, and he decisively pulled the kunai out of his thigh, regardless of the blood gushing out of his leg. His right hand tightly held the kunai, stabbing towards Itachi in front of him. Itachi Uchiha. Itachi hurriedly dodged to the back, but Sasuke's sudden strike still pierced his clothes. The tip of the kunai gently touched Itachi's chest skin. This degree wouldn't even cause scratch to Itachi's skin. But the fact that 7-year-old Sasuke could do this was enough to surprise many people. Cough. Cough cough cough. Sasuke knelt on one knee, clutching his neck, his face turning green as he kept coughing. Quite an interesting little guy. Orochimaru looked at Sasuke with interest. To be able to forcibly break free from the Sharingan's Genjutsu, what an astonishing willpower. If it weren't for Kimimaro, he might be the best vessel I've ever seen. Biwajazo's standing position just blocked Sasori's giant puppet. Such a position made it impossible for Sasori to take action against Sasuke. Itachi Uchiha's little brother is also extraordinary. Biwajazo also exclaimed. Could it be that the people of the Uchiha clan all have such amazing talents? TSK. Sasori glanced at Sasuke, who was kneeling on one knee. But that's all there is to it. If I were him, Itachi Uchiha would at least be seriously injured. Itachi fell into silence again. Sasuke, who had forcibly broken free from the Sharingan Genjutsu, was a bit unexpected to him. He thought he had already highly estimated Sasuke. After all, Sasuke has also shown progress in recent times. But he didn't expect that he still underestimated Sasuke. Not only has Sasuke's strength improved rapidly, but his mentality is also more firm than before. Just as Itachi wanted to take a step forward, a shark suddenly flew over from the side. The shark swallowed Sasuke in one bite and took Sasuke away from Itachi Uchiha. After taking Sasuke to a safe place, the shark finally dissipated into a puddle of water flow. Seeing this scene, Itachi Uchiha turned his head to look at Hoshigaki Kisame. Kisame's mouth was filled with a smirk. You're aiming at Itachi Uchiha, aren't you? Sorry, Sasuke is no longer your family, he is our family of the Whitebeard Pirates. You, who stretch out your poisonous hand to your family, are simply the most despicable existence in the world, shamelessly extreme to an extreme. Kisame admits that he is not a good person. If he were a good person, he wouldn't have so many lives of his companions from Hidden Mist Village on his hands. But today, he has learned something new. It turns out that there are people in the ninja world who are worse than him. Sasuke is still young, he temporarily does not have enough strength to defeat you, or to kill you. Kisame smirked. Then let me do it for him as his family. As Kisame's words fell, he made his move. At the same time Kisame made his move, Naruto, Kakashi, Izumi, Shisui also took action one after another, each finding their own target enemy. However, just as Kisame was about to rush towards Itachi Uchiha, a sudden big foot kicked towards him. Kisame quickly dodged. Looking up, he saw a giant puppet standing in front of him. You guys. All of you are focusing on Itachi Uchiha, is there not one of you who takes me seriously? Sasori looked down at Kisame. Although Whitebeard hasn't come yet, using his son to test this puppet specially designed to deal with him, can also get a lot of useful data. Although Sasori's voice was not loud, Kisame still heard it. TSK. Kisame, carrying Samada, looked at the puppet. A puppet specifically to deal with Pops? Just this big guy? A glint of cold light flashed in Kisame's eyes. Pops is not a man that any puppet master can mess with. Let me dismantle this big guy into parts. On the other side, Izumi Uchiha and Shizue Uchiha, two people from the Uchiha clan, attacked Itachi Uchiha at the same time. Shizue's cane sword decisively unsheathed, slashing at Itachi's wrist at a very tricky angle. Izumi also attacked Itachi's throat with her sword. Itachi sidestepped Izumi's attack, but he couldn't dodge Shizue's attack, and he could only pull out a kunai with his other hand to block it. Ding! The moment the kunai and sword collided, both of their powers were temporarily at a stalemate. Itachi, I don't know why you took the wrong path. But if a person does something wrong, they have to pay the corresponding price. Shizue said solemnly. What you did to the clan, it disappoints me too much. Peace shouldn't be like this. Shizue, it's you who are indecisive, you are the one who has become strange to me. Itachi couldn't help but retort. Didn't the results of what I did also lead the village towards peace? You once told me. As long as the result is right, no matter what price is paid in the process, no matter how much pain is endured, everything is right. I've always kept that in mind, I've never forgotten. Shizue increased his strength and forced Itachi back. He held the sword with one hand and said with a stern face. Then have you remembered another sentence I said, be strict with yourself. The person who should bear the price and pain is oneself. Not dragging others to bear it together. Do you know how many people died on the night of the Uchiha clan's annihilation? Do you know how many people you have plunged into despair and fear? You use this sophistry to distort what I said to you. Shizue took a deep breath, he suddenly said. Maybe you have never changed, it's just that I have never seen through you, this rotten person. Today, let me correct your mistakes. Shizue quickly attacked Itachi again, and Izumi on the side immediately followed. Under the cooperation of the two, Itachi was forced to defend in close combat, both hands holding a kunai each, constantly blocking the attack, and his feet were constantly retreating. On the other side, Naruto chose Biwajazo as his opponent. Because if no one cares about Biwajazo, then he might be exposed. Naruto thinks he is very smart to do so. He kicked at Biwajazo, and Biwajazo raised Kubika Ribicho, a sword as wide as half a door panel, to block Naruto's attack. Biwajazo's arm shook abruptly, and the force of Naruto's kick surprised him. You know, Biwajazo, who can wield the nearly 100-pound Kubika Ribicho as if it were his arm, already has a body of brute strength. But Naruto can make Biwajazo feel that his strength is very great. This is enough to show that in the ninja world, Naruto's strength can also be called brute strength. Biwajazo slashed at Naruto with a sword. Under the cover of Kubika Ribicho, he quickly stuffed a scroll into Naruto's arms. Biwajazo's voice was very low, he said. This is the information about the Akatsuki that I have collected during this period. Naruto understood clearly, he stuffed the scroll into his pocket. Then, he continued to fight with Biwajazo in a proper manner. Hee, they're all fighting, aren't you going to make a move, Tsunade? Orochimaru and Tsunade faced each other, a smirk appeared on Orochimaru's face. Are you reluctant to take action against your former teammates? If that's the case, I'm quite moved. Tsunade said with a cold face. Orochimaru, are you still pursuing the so-called immortality? For your goal, you even treated Kimimaro as a reincarnation vessel. That child admires you so much, he even wishes you were his biological father. But you only treat him as a tool, do you still have any compassion now? Orochimaru was taken aback, he laughed. Compassion, something that can be discarded, I threw it away after the war ended. As for Kimimaro, I didn't force him, he voluntarily wanted to be my reincarnation vessel. Tsunade scorned. You can give up on that. As long as I'm here, I won't let you take him. After I cure his disease, do you think he will be grateful to me? By then, we'll see whether his bond with you is deeper, or his bond with me is deeper. Tsunade also smirked. This time, the smile on Orochimaru's face finally faded. Didn't you say you didn't want to get involved in ninja affairs a long time ago? Tsunade casually said. Then I'll take back what I said before. Orochimaru's eyes narrowed. Tsunade, if you want to stop me from pursuing my goal, I might kill you, you know. Crack suddenly, several cracks appeared on the ground under Tsunade's feet. She rubbed her hands together and said. Then try it. Chapter 254, Whitebeard, makes his appearance. Itachi Uchiha's Susanoo. Ninjutsu and disarray. Orochimaru quickly formed seals with both hands, and spat out one brown snake after another from his mouth. The dense snakes covered the ground in front of him. It made people shudder at a glance. Tsunade let out a cold snort, she raised her right foot high, and then without hesitation, she stomped heavily on the ground under her feet. Only heard a loud noise. The ground was stomped out a crack by Tsunade, a large number of snakes directly fell into the crack. This time it was Tsunade's turn to take the initiative to attack. She appeared in front of Orochimaru in an instant, and a heavy punch was aimed at Orochimaru's face. Orochimaru hurriedly dodged this punch, because he knew Tsunada's monstrous strength. This punch, if it hit his head, maybe this body could be declared scrapped. Ninjutsu snake limb hardening. Orochimaru, who dodged the attack, counterattacked with a karate chop towards Tsunada. Tsunada immediately raised her arm to block. When she hard blocked Orochimaru's attack, Tsunada's eyebrows slightly frowned. After she forced Orochimaru back with a kick, she took a look at her own arm. Her attacked arm was bleeding a little. It was clearly a collision between fists and feet, but it was like being attacked by a sharp blade. Hee hee. Tsunada, you've lost. Seeing this scene, Orochimaru couldn't help but show a triumphant smile. You, who suffer from hemophobia, after seeing this blood, how much of your full strength can you exert? Orochimaru spat out a Kusanagi sword from his mouth. The Kusanagi sword was covered with crystal clear saliva, but he didn't care and held the hilt. Orochimaru approached Tsunada step by step. Especially when he saw Tsunada's somewhat trembling body, the smile of triumph on his face became even more pronounced. To be honest, I really don't want to kill you. As long as you don't stop me from pursuing my goal, I won't make such a killer move on you. After all, I do value the feelings of the past. After Orochimaru said these words, he swung the Kusanagi sword in his hand, about to slash at Tsunada's body. But at this critical moment, Tsunada's slightly trembling body suddenly stopped. Her beautiful eyes flashed with a very sharp cold light. She dodged Orochimaru's attack with a short stature. Then she grabbed Orochimaru's wrist with one hand. This sudden change made Orochimaru's pupil shrink. But when he wanted to make some reaction, it was already too late. Tsunada's brute strength pulled hard, causing Orochimaru to lose his balance. Then a heavy punch landed solidly on Orochimaru's face. Orochimaru's face visibly caved in. The facial bones made a crack fracture sound. Bright red blood spurted from his nose and mouth. Tsunada's punch made Orochimaru's feet leave the ground, and the whole person was like a cannonball flying backwards. Tsunada quickly approached, raised her foot high and shouted. Painful sky kick. Her foot fell like a battle axe, and Orochimaru, who was flying backwards, was smashed down to the ground again. Bang! A huge pit with a diameter of 10 to 20 meters appeared under her feet, and the dust raised was like a small sandstorm. It made Orochimaru vomit a mouthful of blood again. Although Tsunada's hemophobia is still there, compared to before, her hemophobia has recovered a lot. The amount of blood that can cause her fear must be at least 1/20th of the blood of a normal adult. The small amount of blood flowing from the wound on her arm, although it made Tsunada a little palpitated, did not affect her combat effectiveness. Orochimaru misjudged Tsunada's weakness. He had a hard time. Saimata Annihilation / Kisame held the hilt of the large sword Saimata tightly with both hands. He jumped high, and a heavy blow hit the giant puppet's shoulder. Under his brute strength, the giant puppet couldn't help but retreat 2 steps. But the puppet's other hand was already reaching for him. Kisame could only step on the puppet's shoulder with one foot, jump back, and dodge this attack. Kisame, who landed back on the ground, frowned at the puppet in front of him. Such a hard big guy. Saimata smashed on it, and there was no trace left. Moreover, this kind of puppet only has a small amount of chakra flowing in it. Saimata can't eat all the opponent's chakra at once. It's really a bit tricky. No wonder the guy hiding in the puppet claimed that this was a puppet to deal with pops. Not to mention whether this puppet has the power to deal with pops, just the opponent's amazing defense power, has made Kisame realize that the opponent is not simple. Is that what the tailless beast Hoshigaki Kisame of Hidden Mist Village can do? And you are so brazen that you want to demolish my artistic masterpiece? Sasori's tone was somewhat mocking. He was very satisfied with this puppet. Although this puppet is not the complete body in his original design, it now has a certain combat power. And it's stronger than any puppet he made before. Under Sasori's control, the giant puppet suddenly stretched out a hand at Kisame, and a cylindrical black tube drilled out of the puppet's palm. The diameter of the tube mouth is probably about 10 centimeters. Scroll Inferno formation. In an instant, the black tube protruding from the palm spewed out a surging flame, and the terrifying high temperature of the flame even burned the ground under his feet into magma. Just as Kisame was about to be swallowed whole, hey. Are you serious about using fire-style ninjutsu in front of a ninja who is good at water-style? Or are you so arrogant that you want to use fire-style to take me down? Kisame felt seriously provoked. Saimata was propped up by him, his hands quickly formed seals. Water-style explosive water dragon bullet jutsu. A huge water dragon rushed towards the raging flames. The collision between the water dragon and the flames was difficult to resolve for a while. Humphrey. Ninjutsu needle hell. With a cold snort from Sasori, the mouth of the giant puppet suddenly opened. One by one, poison needles flew out under the cover of the flames, heading straight for Kisame. Each needle was extremely poisonous, even if it was grazed or touched, it was enough to take a person's life. At this critical moment, Seimata suddenly sprang out. Seimata swelled up quite a bit, like a shield blocking in front of Kisame. All the poisoned needles fell on Seimata, and couldn't even break Seimata's defense. After all, Seimata's body is harder than ordinary steel. Kisame looked down at a needle stuck next to his foot. The poison eroded the soil to sizzle and emit green smoke. Ha! Puppet control, poison. Kisame thought. You wouldn't happen to be from Hidden Sand Village, would you? TSK. Sasori didn't admit it, but he didn't deny it either. Just as he was controlling the puppet to continue attacking Kisame. Suddenly, a dazzling thunderlight lit up behind him. The crackling sound made Sasori turn his head and look. Rikiri. Before Sasori could react, the dazzling thunderlight behind him suddenly fell on the right leg joint of the giant puppet. Bang! The right leg joint of the puppet suffered severe damage. The amazing power of Rikiri caught Sasori a bit off guard. This puppet is really hard. Kakashi's palm was a bit numb, he opened his dead fish eyes and complained. A full-strength Rikiri can only make it a little damage. Kakashi thought that his strike could take off one of the opponent's legs, it seems he thought too much. Kakashi of the Sharingan. Sasori squinted his eyes, the damage to the artwork made him a bit annoyed. If I put your Sharingan on my puppet, it should be able to take my puppet to the next level, right? Kakashi's mouth twitched. Isn't there Itachi Uchiha in your Akatsuki organization? Why don't you go to him for Sharingan? Why do so many people want his Sharingan? Is his Sharingan some kind of rare treasure? Shisui, you've become weaker. After Itachi Uchiha dodged Shisui's attack, he said expressionlessly. You, who have lost the Mangekyo Sharingan, do you have half the strength you used to have? Although I don't know why you can still catch my position after losing your eyes, but you are indeed not as good as before. Then, Itachi Uchiha dodged Izumi's attack again. He glanced at Izumi lightly. Izumi, you've improved a lot. My impression of you is limited to when you first opened a single Tomoe Sharingan, you could faint due to excessive chakra consumption. Izumi's face was frosty, she snorted coldly. Don't talk to me in this condescending, self-righteous tone. Who do you think you are? You're just a beast who killed your own clan and your own family. Fire style, rage of sages, flame of phoenixes. Izumi Uchiha quickly formed seals, and 5 groups of raging flames spewed out from her mouth. The flames engulfed Itachi Uchiha's body. But a familiar voice rang out from behind Izumi Uchiha. 3 Tomoe Sharingan will never surpass Mangekyo Sharingan. Don't you understand yet? From the moment you and I made eye contact, you were already under my Ganjutsu. Itachi Uchiha was about to strike Izumi's neck with a hand knife. The next second, a cane sword suddenly appeared crosswise. Itachi's hand knife paused, because if he continued to strike down, his hand would be cut open. I have indeed become weaker without Mangekyo. Shisui also had an expressionless face, he said. But I'm not so weak that I don't even have half of my previous strength. Itachi Uchiha looked sideways at Shisui. But you are still not my opponent, Shisui, you should know better than me what Mangekyo Sharingan really means. Me with Mangekyo Sharingan, and you without Mangekyo Sharingan, one in the sky and one on the ground, are worlds apart. A layer of red chakra surged around Itachi Uchiha. Shisui's observation haki vaguely sensed something, he frowned and immediately pulled Izumi to hide behind him. Big brother Shisui. This seems to be Susanoo. Izumi looked at Itachi Uchiha with a shocked face. In her line of sight, a red half-body skeleton appeared next to Itachi Uchiha. The skeleton enveloped the entire Itachi Uchiha. You should see it clearly, right? This is the power that is worlds apart. Itachi's voice was very calm. The Uchiha clan's Mangekyo Sharingan is an invincible existence. Under his control, the 2 skeletal arms of Susanoo clenched their fists and smashed towards Shisui and Izumi. Shisui and Izumi each dodged in 2 different directions. Bang! Bang! The skeletal fists of Susanoo smashed into the ground. 2 huge pits were smashed out on the spot. Damn it! Izumi gritted her silver teeth. Is the gap between 3 Tomoe Sharingan and Mangekyo really that big? She also desperately wanted to have a pair of Mangekyo Sharingan, but Izumi also knew that it was not so easy to awaken Mangekyo Sharingan. She threw several shuriken at Itachi Uchiha with a backhand. But they were all blocked by Susanoo. It didn't break the defense at all. If it weren't for Naruto's help, the amount of chakra in my body would not be enough to support my eyeless Susanoo. But in the course of the battle, Itachi will definitely not let me get close to Naruto. Shisui frowned. It's troublesome. What? What's going on? Why would the Whitebeard pirates fight with the Akatsuki? 5 Hidden Clouds Village Anbu ninjas who had lost their combat power could only try their best to get away from this place as soon as possible. At least they can't be affected by the battle. The intensity of the battle between the Whitebeard pirates and the Akatsuki was beyond their imagination. Looking at their state of being heavily injured, if they don't get away from the Whitebeard pirates and the Akatsuki as soon as possible, I'm afraid that any battle aftermath could take their lives. Although they are not afraid of death. But they have to pass this information to the village. To pass on the information, they have to survive first. The Hidden Clouds Village Anbu who could still move, pulled their fainted companions, and crawled hard and slowly. After climbing for several minutes, they finally reached a relatively safe area hundreds of meters away. They looked back, their faces full of disbelief. Kakashi of the Sharingan, 7 Ninja Swordsman Hoshigaki Kisame, Hidden Leaf Village San and Tsunoda, Shishui of the Body Flicker. Are all these people members of the Whitebeard pirates? They found it hard to believe. Because every person they could see in front of them was basically a famous figure in the ninja world. What kind of magic does the Whitebeard pirates have to attract these people to join? And let these people choose to become a group of pirates? Suddenly, a faint sound of footsteps came from behind them. They hurriedly looked back and found a few little devils. It seems that we have 5 more prisoners. Karen's mouth curled up. Neji ignored several severely injured Hidden Clouds Village Anbu. He was watching the battle scene in front of him. Is this the battle between Jonin and Kage level? Hinata looked at Naruto worriedly. Naruto-kun, be careful. Gorurura. It's really noisy. Whitebeard sat on the bow of the Moby Dick, watching the various ninjutsu taking off in the distance with interest. How could Whitebeard not notice the movement in the distance? Whitebeard is neither blind nor deaf. He had been watching the battle over there a long time ago. During the watching process, Whitebeard kept making sharp comments. TSK, this is a stupid son who hasn't practiced Marine 6 styles. That puppet took a punch, and Kisame actually had to dodge? If he learned Iron Body, he could easily take it. Kakashi is the same. If he had learned instant transmission, a hit and then another instant transmission, wouldn't he be able to take off that big guy's leg? Shishui's observation haki has awakened, but he still hasn't practiced armament haki. A so-called Suzuno can make him helpless. This won't do. Izumi, this stupid daughter, doesn't know armament haki or observation haki, and doesn't know Marine 6 styles. She still needs to practice more. But Tsunoda was quite good in Whitebeard's eyes. Especially Tsunoda's monstrous strength, placed in the new world of the Grand Line, is a not bad power. Whitebeard found that Tsunoda's monstrous strength is more suitable for practicing Marine 6 styles. She is also suitable for practicing armament haki. It's a pity that this little brat has always been unwilling to be his daughter. Seeing that the situation in front was at a stalemate, Whitebeard had seen enough. In his eyes, the battle in front was like a few kittens fighting. The first few minutes were interesting. After a long time, he got a little impatient. Whitebeard, who was sitting on the ground, slowly stood up. He didn't even take his Murakamagiri. Whitebeard, with bare hands and slightly bent legs. Whitebeard had a smile on his face, then he jumped. Just in the blink of an eye, he disappeared from the Moby Dick. Cough. Hee, it's really killing me. Orochimaru spat out a mouthful of blood, feeling that countless bones in his body were broken, and Tsunoda's kick almost took his life. Orochimaru looked up at Tsunoda in front of him, wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth. I didn't expect that you really want to kill me. It's really hurt my heart, Tsunoda. Tsunoda snorted lightly. Humphrey, it's you who wanted to kill me first, right? Then, Tsunoda coldly said. I can't let you do as you please anymore. I will stop you today. You can't hurt children like Kinamaru in the future. Orochimaru did not retort. A dangerous meaning flashed in his golden vertical pupils. I think you can't stop me. Orochimaru said ominously. Tsunoda, you have the determination to do it to me, but do you have the determination to do it to Nawaki and Dan? Tsunoda. Hee. Although I'm not very skilled in using that forbidden technique, I think I can still summon the 2 of them from the underworld. Orochimaru made hand seals. Ninjutsu summoning, impure world reincarnation. But at this moment, Orochimaru found himself enveloped by a shadow. There was a round shadow under his feet. Orochimaru hurriedly looked up, his eyes gradually widening. A few traces of shock and fear flashed in his eyes. In Orochimaru's line of sight, a man he least wanted to see, descended from the sky. Whitebeard appears. Chapter 255, The Earth-Shaking Power. I am Whitebeard. Whitebeard's feet stomped heavily on the scarred earth below. A visible shockwave surged in all directions. The shockwave blew Orochimaru's hair behind his head into a wild dance. Feeling the trembling of the ground under his feet, and hearing the beast-like breathing from behind, Orochimaru's forehead was already covered with layers of cold sweat. Even if he had been punched in the face by Tsunade and stepped on his body before, he did not show a look of horror like now. Orochimaru's pair of golden vertical pupils were somewhat trembling. He had just thought that Whitebeard would appear in various ways. For example, Whitebeard would hold his big Naginata, step by step towards here, full of King's momentum. Or, Whitebeard would first use that unparalleled terrifying momentum to deter everyone, and then walk towards here. But Orochimaru didn't expect that Whitebeard would jump up from that big ship to here in one jump. Coincidentally, Whitebeard's landing point was just behind him. Everything is so abrupt. There is no warning at all. Although Orochimaru did not look back, he could guess that Whitebeard might be less than 3 meters away from him. Everyone involuntarily stopped their hands, whether it was the crew of the Whitebeard pirates or the few people from the Akatsuki. You old man can't sit still after all. The coldness on Tsunade's face had already receded, because she knew that as long as Whitebeard appeared, basically no one needed to intervene. Tsunade could also see Orochimaru in front of her, who was already scared to move. This made her show a schadenfreude expression. TSK, Orochimaru, so you also have people you fear? Tsunade's tone was somewhat mocking. As for whether there is a sense of ridicule, it's a matter of perspective. Orochimaru didn't know what to say, his fingertips were trembling slightly. Among the 4 Akatsuki members present, he was the only one who understood the terror of Whitebeard. Orochimaru knew better that being forced by Whitebeard to within 10 meters was absolutely a matter of life and death. And his distance of 3 meters from Whitebeard was equivalent to having 1 foot in the gate of hell. The key is that there is some conflict between him, Orochimaru, and the Whitebeard pirates. Orochimaru felt that the speed of his heartbeat had become a bit faster. Whitebeard, you've finally appeared. Biwajuzo carried the Kubik Iribicho on his shoulder. He looked at the tall and burly figure of Whitebeard. His face showed a sense of emotion. Once upon a time, their hidden mist village also had a Mizukage. But ever since Whitebeard appeared in a land of water, the 4th Mizukage of Hidden Mist Village was forcefully killed by Whitebeard. Logically speaking, if a Kage in the village was killed by Whitebeard, these ninjas of Hidden Mist Village should regard Whitebeard as an enemy. But Biwajuzo regarded the Whitebeard pirates as allies, indicating that Hidden Mist Village's blood mist policy was indeed unpopular. No matter how many times I see him, I can always feel a king-like aura from this man. Biwajuzo took a deep breath. Just seeing this man can make my breathing become rapid. It's Pops. Naruto had a look of joy on his face, then he looked a bit unhappy at Sasori's giant puppet. Naruto couldn't help but mutter. This guy's puppet is actually bigger than Pops. Of course, Naruto doesn't think that the bigger the guy, the stronger he is. He believes that in front of Pops, the so-called puppet is just that. The giant puppet controlled by Sasori also turned its head to look at Whitebeard's figure. Compared to the fear that Orochimaru felt when he encountered Whitebeard, Sasori felt a bit of excitement and anticipation when he saw Whitebeard. Whitebeard is finally here. Sasori's tone of voice could hardly conceal his emotions. Finally, I can see if the artwork I've worked hard to create can restrain him. In order to prevent Whitebeard's strange vibration ability, Sasori used a very special material to make the puppet. He believes that no matter how strong the vibration is, it can't shake his puppet into parts. And the defense of the puppet has been continuously strengthened by him. He doesn't believe that this time it can still be cut in half by Whitebeard. But what Sasori felt a bit regretful was, Whitebeard didn't even bring his Naginata. Pops is here, it seems we don't need to make a move. Kisame looked at the giant puppet with a pitying look. Fighting against us, you may have the ability to escape, but fighting against Pops. Well, good luck to you. Kisame actually wished an enemy good luck. Kakashi breathed a sigh of relief. He rubbed his numb palm, murmuring to himself. Thank goodness Pops is here, otherwise if I release Rai Hidden Mist Village a few more times, I'm afraid my chakra will be exhausted. Kakashi was the one with the least confidence among all the people present. Because his chakra is really too little. He is confident in his own strength. But he has no confidence in his own amount of chakra. Shizue's stern face also softened a bit. He gently sheathed the cane sword in his hand. Although he couldn't see Itachi Uchiha in front of him, he still said in that direction. Itachi, you just said that my biggest weakness is not having Mangekyo Sharingan. But you didn't realize that the awakened Mangekyo has also become your biggest weakness. It made you arrogant. You thought your Mangekyo Sharingan was omnipotent, the most invincible existence in a ninja world. But today I can tell you, there are always people beyond people, and heavens beyond heavens. If there is something invincible in the world, it only exists in the fantasy of an arrogant person. Such arrogance and self-righteousness will lead you step by step into death. Izumi Uchiha didn't make any sharp comments about Itachi Uchiha. Because in Izumi's heart, he is no longer the person she likes. Facing such a person, what does she need to say more? Izumi Uchiha's gaze at Itachi was only hatred and killing intent. Like Sasuke, she wants to avenge the clan all the time. It's just that compared to Sasuke, she's not that impulsive. Itachi didn't respond to Shisui, because he also set his sights on Whitebeard's body. On the night of the Uchiha clan's annihilation, Itachi knew that Whitebeard had come to the Uchiha clan's residence, but he didn't meet Whitebeard at that time. Because that night Whitebeard met Madara Uchiha. In fact, Itachi didn't even know that Whitebeard had pressed Madara Uchiha to the ground and beat him wildly. After all, it is impossible for Obito wouldn't tell such a shameful thing to Itachi. This is the Whitebeard that has always been a headache for Hokage-sama. An idea flashed through Itachi Uchiha's mind. The Whitebeard pirates have disturbed Hidden Leaf Village. This is also an unstable factor that hinders Hidden Leaf Village's path to peace. If I help Hidden Leaf Village solve this big problem, can Hidden Leaf Village be peaceful? And the most important point. Sasuke has established a bond similar to family with Whitebeard. Sasuke has become Whitebeard's adopted son. If I can use some ways to pull Sasuke's inner hatred and killing intent to an extreme, can Sasuke directly awaken Mangekyo? And one of the ways that appeared in Itachi's mind was, use Shisui's eyes to control Whitebeard, change Whitebeard's will. Let him sever the relationship with Sasuke, let Sasuke suffer severe psychological trauma again. Only in this way, Sasuke can have the true capacity of the Uchiha clan. And not to stay in the Whitebeard pirates to become a flower in the greenhouse. Always protected by the Whitebeard pirates. Of course, Itachi also has a second way, use Shisui's eyes to control Whitebeard, let Whitebeard commit suicide in front of Sasuke. In this way, Sasuke's eyes can be sublimated once, and it can also solve this big problem for Hidden Leaf Village. Just as Itachi Uchiha's thoughts were spinning rapidly in his mind, Whitebeard had already ignored the sweaty Orochimaru. He slowly turned around. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr what kind of Genjutsu Itachi Uchiha, who had a pair of eyes, could cast on him. Uchiha brat, the malice emanating from you is simply too obvious. Whitebeard's eyes were filled with a hint of disdain. You are the Itachi Uchiha who killed his own family, mentioned by my stupid sons and daughters, aren't you? Itachi Uchiha looked up at Whitebeard expressionlessly. It's an honor for me to be remembered by the famous Whitebeard. What puzzled Itachi was, why didn't Shizue warn Whitebeard that he might use a visual jutsu when he was looking at Whitebeard? But Itachi couldn't care less, he wouldn't let go of such a rare opportunity. In an instant, the Genjutsu from Mengekyo Sharingan directly entered the deepest part of Whitebeard's consciousness. This is also the strongest Genjutsu of Sharingan, Kodo Umatsukami. Yes, Itachi used Kodo Umatsukami. Such a super strong Genjutsu against the heavens, he believes that only using it on a man like Whitebeard is the optimal choice. Itachi Uchiha was using Genjutsu and his own thoughts to forcibly twist and change Whitebeard's thoughts. He chose not method 1, but method 2. The crazy consumption of Sharingan's pupil power made one of Itachi Uchiha's eyes gradually bleed. The blood slowly slid down his cheek and fell to the ground. It was also at this moment that Itachi breathed a sigh of relief. Because he knew everything was over, he had dealt with the biggest threat at present. My vision is a bit blurry. And it seems that I can't use it again in a short time. Itachi Uchiha felt the state of Shizue's Mengekyo. As expected of the strongest Genjutsu Kodo Umatsukami, Itachi felt that at least in a few years, or even more than 10 years, he would have a hard time using this extremely against the heavens Genjutsu again. Such consumption and side effects are not ordinary. No wonder Shizue didn't use this Genjutsu casually back then. Because once it's used wrong, the next time you want to use it, it will be at least a few years later, or even more than 10 years later. The tolerance rate is too low. But his expression was still calm. Whitebeard, I'm sorry, after you saw this I have already won. Let me predict what you will do next. Itachi calmly said. You will turn around, walk towards Sasuke, and then wake up the unconscious Sasuke. Then, Whitebeard, you will face Sasuke. His self-proclaimed words were not finished yet, but his voice stopped abruptly. The words he wanted to say next were all stuck in his throat. He couldn't say a word. His two eyes also slightly enlarged, his eyes full of astonishment. Because, Whitebeard did not act according to his prediction, but slowly walked towards him. Uchiha brat, you are the second ninja who wants to attack me with that kind of eyes. The previous one was that brat who always calls himself Madara Uchiha. Whitebeard's smile never faded from the corner of his mouth. Where does your confidence come from, making you think that this kind of eyes can work on me? This kind of little trick maybe would work on a ninja. But I am Whitebeard. As Whitebeard's voice fell, the step he took forward triggered a strong vibration. A visible layer of shockwaves rushed forward. Itachi Uchiha. The red skeletal Susanoo has not been retracted. Itachi hurriedly controlled Susanoo's arms to cross in front of him. When the shockwave hit Susanoo hard, the entire port dock was stirred up by a strong earthquake. Susanoo was actually pushed back by this layer of shockwaves for a full 20 or so meters. Several obvious cracks appeared on the arm of the red skeleton. How is it possible? This is Itachi Uchiha's first loss of composure since leaving Hidden Leaf Village, and his eyes are full of incredulity. This is Shishui's Mangekyo Sharingan. This is the strongest Genjutsu Kodo Amatsukami of the Uchiha clan. Why doesn't it work on Whitebeard? Itachi Uchiha doesn't understand. It can't be that Shishui gave him a fake eye, right? That's even more impossible. Hey! The newcomer called Itachi Uchiha, give me away. Sasori's giant puppet is already standing in front of the red Susanoo. He, hiding in the puppet, showed a somewhat morbidly excited smile. Your Uchiha eyes are useless. In the end, I still have to rely on my great work of art. Once upon a time, Sasori had to exaggerate his head to see Whitebeard. Now, he has to look down at Whitebeard with the help of the puppet. This feeling makes Sasori feel very good. Although his puppet has not fought with Whitebeard yet, he feels that he is not much worse than Whitebeard in terms of momentum. Whitebeard, you probably don't remember me, do you? Sasori, hiding in the giant puppet, raised a smile at the corner of his mouth. More than a year ago, we met once. This is a puppet I specially made to deal with you, and it is also your nemesis. Oh? Whitebeard paused, he looked up and down at the puppet with interest. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr more excited. Yes, I also want to use your unique body and my puppet to create a new puppet. That will be the most powerful puppet in the entire ninja world. You are very ambitious, little ninja. Whitebeard not only did not get angry because of this, but also praised Sasori. Then, his hearty laughter echoed through the sky. But your ambitious goal is obviously misplaced. As soon as Whitebeard's voice fell, the Conqueror's haki has enveloped the whole field. The demeanor of the Sea Emperor made everyone's hearts sink. At this time, Shisui, Kakashi, Izumi, Naruto, Kisame and others immediately left their positions. Because they know Pops is going to make a move. They don't want to be affected by Pop's power. That's definitely a killer move. Biwajuzo was a bit sweaty. Itachi Uchiha provoked Whitebeard Sama to death, and a Sasori actually came out and jumped wildly next to the thunder area. The most critical point is that his identity is not suitable to hide in the same position with Naruto, Kisame, Kakashi and others. Otherwise his identity will be exposed. He still wants to continue to infiltrate the Akatsuki to get more information. He wished he could draw his sword and cut Itachi Uchiha and Sasori from behind. If these two bastards don't want to live, don't drag me into it. Orochimaru doesn't have Biwajuzo's undercover troubles, anyway, he and the Akatsuki are just using each other. He doesn't want to be buried with Itachi Uchiha and Sasori. Orochimaru wanted to escape immediately, but was stopped by Tsunade who followed closely. Seeing Orochimaru's extremely ugly expression, Tsunade's face became more and more smug. What? Are you scared? Do you want to run? Tsunade scat, teasing and mocking. This is not the Orochimaru I know. The Orochimaru I know is not so cowardly. Orochimaru. On the other side, feeling the terrifying pressure of Conqueror's haki, Sasori was not afraid, but his tone became more excited. That's it. That's it. The stronger you are, the more artistic the puppet I will create in the future. Under Sasori's control, the giant puppet stretched out two palms, and two black tubes emerged from the palms of each hand. Scroll Inferno Formation. Scroll Black Thunder Roar. The right hand spewed out raging flames, and the left hand spewed out dazzling black thunder. The combined ninjutsu of thunder and fire increased its power several times. Sasori took the lead and made a move against Whitebeard. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr and a layer of white vibration light wave was wrapped around his fist. The power of the Quake fruit was activated. Facing a puppet larger than himself, Whitebeard's arm muscles tightened, and veins wrapped around. The faint smile on his face suddenly turned into a unique sneer of the pirates. As Whitebeard punched the air, it triggered a very special airquake. Crack! The sound of glass shattering echoed through the sky. Only to see dense white cracks appearing in the atmosphere, the combined ninjutsu of thunder and fire, at the moment of colliding with the intense vibration of the tremor fruit, was easily dispersed. The power of Whitebeard at his peak is beyond everyone's imagination. In an instant, the power of vibration completely erupted. The entire port was spinning, and the violent vibration affected everything. When the visible vibration wave like a 100-meter tsunami rushed towards the giant puppet, the smile on Sasori's face, who was hiding inside the puppet, stiffened. Behind Sasori, Itachi Uchiha, whose body was protected by Susanoo, also changed his expression. When they realized something was wrong, it was already too late. Chapter 256, The Power of Vibration Destroys the World. Sasori captured by the pirate group. In Sasori's life, there were only 2 times when he felt an unprecedented sense of crisis. The first time was when he met Whitebeard in the Land of Fire. The second time was when he met Whitebeard in the Land of Thunder. For the former, he could argue that he was not well prepared and lacked information about Whitebeard. For the latter, he didn't know from which direction to defend himself, nor did he know from which angle to save his dignity. Because, Sasori believes that he now has some information about Whitebeard, and he has also made sufficient preparations to deal with Whitebeard. But even so, he still felt a sense of terror and crisis. Watching the overwhelming vibration wave approaching, the alarm bell in Sasori's heart had been sounded to the extreme. He actually felt powerless to reverse the situation. In Sasori's line of sight, the shockwave from Whitebeard's casual punch turned everything in its path, even the ground, into dust. The air and the scene in front of him were distorted to an extreme. Although Itachi Uchiha was standing behind Sasori, the sense of crisis he felt was almost identical to Sasori's. The red Susanoo protecting him did not give Itachi Uchiha any sense of security. But compared to Sasori, who was stunned in place, Itachi's reaction and response were faster. The originally skeletal red Susanoo visibly appeared with pieces of armor, covering the skeleton's body. Layers of flesh also appeared on the skeleton's bones, making Susanoo's appearance fuller. This also severely depleted Itachi Uchiha's already scarce pupil power. He hasn't really fought with Whitebeard yet. And he already felt weak. Susanoo's arms crossed again, facing such a terrifying force of vibration, Itachi Uchiha couldn't even think of how to fight hard, so he could only defend passively. This stirred up ripples in Itachi's heart. Why does he still feel this sense of crisis against Whitebeard even though he has 2 Mangekyo Sharingan? He was a little confused. He also didn't understand. Just like he didn't understand why Kotoa Matsukami didn't work on Whitebeard. Also in a hurry, the shockwave like a 100-meter tsunami had already collided with a giant puppet. Sasori's masterpiece that he was proud of, at the moment of collision with the power of Quake Fruit, the giant puppet's amazing defensive body, appeared with shocking cracks. Yes, no matter how amazing the defense of the puppet is, it still seems powerless against the terrifying power of Quake Fruit. The force of vibration instantly destroyed all the precise structure inside the puppet, and the cracks appearing on the surface of the giant puppet became larger and larger. Until the giant puppet exploded with a loud noise. It was directly shattered. Pieces of parts and fragments splashed out in all directions, including Sasori hiding inside the giant puppet. His body was also crushed into pieces by the force of vibration. Whether it's the giant puppet outside or Sasori's original body, they are all not living things, because he has long made himself into an alternative immortal body. As long as his regeneration core is not destroyed, Sasori can survive in different puppets with a long life. Also at this moment, the regeneration core protected by a special black box, also flew out with the broken fragments of the puppet. Sasori didn't even have time to make any response. He met the same end as last time. The so-called super defensive power of the giant puppet, even 1/10 of the power of Quake Fruit can't weaken. The shockwave like a landslide and tsunami, blinked and collided with Susanoo's body. Itachi Uchiha's pupils have shrunk to the size of a pinhole. Because he watched as the armor pieces on the crossed arms of Susanoo were exploded on the spot by the force of vibration. This is definitely a shocking destructive power far beyond Mangekyo Sharingan. The flesh on Susanoo's arms, gathered by pupil power and chakra, was instantly disintegrated by the force of vibration, and it turned back into a skeleton shape. What Itachi Uchiha found hard to believe was that Whitebeard's punch was 10 times stronger than the previous one. The skeletal arms of Susanoo began to show dense and fine cracks, which began to spread along the arm to the body of Susanoo. At this moment, what surged in Itachi Uchiha's heart was no longer a sense of crisis, but a premonition of death. In this critical moment, he only had time to put his hands together, 1 second 6 seals. Only to hear a loud explosion. The extremely large half-body Susanoo was blasted on the spot by the power of the Quake Fruit. Even if this is an incomplete Susanoo, the destructive power shown by the Quake Fruit is enough to make everyone dumbfounded. Ninjutsu Crow replacement stream. Itachi Uchiha completed all 12 seals in the shortest time. When the terrifying vibration wave was about to fall on him, Itachi Uchiha's body suddenly turned into dozens of crows. Each crow was flying towards the back, the flapping wings seemed to be about to fan out sparks. Yes, he ran away. And it was the fastest escape in his life, even the potential was stimulated by the crisis of death. These crows tried to race with the vibration wave punched out by Whitebeard, but the next second there were more than a dozen crows that were blasted on the spot, bones and feathers were all shaken into powder. After the second, more than a dozen crows turned into fragments of powder and drifted away. Biwa Juzo was also hit head-on by the vibration wave, the cubic iribicho he used to block in front of him was shattered on the spot, and his body uncontrollably flew backwards. Every bone in his body broke inch by inch, his skin burst open one by one, and blood spurted out from all over his body like it was free. Biwa Juzo was shocked on the spot, and in the last second when his consciousness crashed, he only had such a grateful thought, thanks to Whitebeard-sama for holding back. Biwa Juzo didn't think his mortal body could match Sasori's giant puppet, let alone his muscles and blood could match Suzuno. He knew that he didn't die on the spot, it was definitely Whitebeard-sama, who deliberately spared his life. It seems that giving advance notice to the Whitebeard pirates and showing loyalty to the Whitebeard pirates is useful. Otherwise, he would definitely have become a pile of broken meat now. Even so, Biwa Juzo's body still couldn't bear the power of Whitebeard's restraint. He suffered an unprecedented heavy blow on the spot. His body, like a broken sack, flew out a full hundreds of meters, and he even directly hit the crows transformed by Itachi Uchiha in midair. The subsequent vibration aftershocks, although no longer have the power of vibration, still have a very strong impact. Biwa Juzo's body, which was about to fall to the ground, was once again knocked out. A large number of scattered fleeing crows also died one by one. Looking around, the scene in front of him was already a mess. At least 1,000 meters in front of Whitebeard, the area suffered a great deal of damage. There were ferocious cracks all over the ground, and some low mountains in front were shattered by the power of vibration. If you have to describe the scene in front of you more vividly, it's like a flat glass being heavily thrown on the ground. The shattered glass, overlapped with the scene in front of you, absolutely has no sense of disharmony. Even if the power of vibration has stopped, the raging wind is still howling, making everyone on the scene a little unstable. The scene has completely quieted down. Whether it's Whitebeard's sons and daughters, or the 5 unlucky Anbu from Hidden Clouds Village, or Orochimaru who narrowly escaped a disaster. None of them took the initiative to speak. All of them stared at the scene in front of them with extremely shocked eyes. Everyone was speechless for a long time. Gorura. Kisame, southeast direction, 1,300 meters, bring that interesting thing over. After Whitebeard's observation Haki swept over, his voice with a hearty laugh was the first to break this kind of silence. Interesting thing? Kisame came back to his senses from the shock. Although he didn't know what it was, he would naturally obey Pop's command unconditionally. Kisame immediately moved, with a teleportation, his body disappeared. Pops, Itachi Uchiha. Is he already dead? Izumi Uchiha couldn't help but swallow, she asked with a bit of shock and a bit of complex curiosity. Gorura. That Uchiha kid is still alive. Whitebeard grinned, he looked at his silly daughter. As your pops, how could I compete with you silly kids for the opportunity to take revenge? Whitebeard punched Itachi Uchiha and Sasori because the two of them provoked him, the Emperor of the Sea. He didn't kill Itachi Uchiha because if he really used that kind of power, Biwa Juzo might be killed along with him. Moreover, keeping Itachi Uchiha can make his 3 silly sons and daughter have more motivation to become stronger. This kind of relatives naturally do not deserve to live in this world. But Whitebeard won't do it for his sons and daughters. He will let Sasuke Uchiha, Shizue Uchiha, Izumi Uchiha do it themselves. Only in this way can the silly children have a clear mind. Silly children need their own experience. They also need their own adventures. If he interferes too much with their affairs, how can they grow to be independent? Indeed, a person like Whitebeard is the most intolerant of people challenging his dignity. Tsunade retracted her shocked gaze, she murmured with a sigh. It's just this destructive power. Isn't it a bit too exaggerated? She felt that Whitebeard definitely didn't use all his strength. Because the punch Whitebeard gave to Manda in Hidden Leaf Village before was even more exaggerated than now. What a ridiculously strong man. Orochimaru's fingertips were trembling slightly. If he switched positions with Sasori, Orochimaru didn't know if he can keep his body intact. If Orochimaru said he didn't covet Whitebeard's powerful power, that's impossible. If he had such a powerful force, would he still need to rely on the Akatsuki to protect him? Is he still worried about being chased by Jiraiya all the time? But Orochimaru knows better, such a powerful existence like Whitebeard is already unique in the ninja world. If time goes back many years ago, perhaps there are two people who can be on the same level with Whitebeard. These two people are Senju Hashirama and Madara Uchiha. But now, both of these people have left the world. As for the Akatsuki, the guy who claims to be Madara Uchiha, Orochimaru doesn't think that guy is Madara Uchiha. He's just a clown who borrows other people's fame and makes a show of strength. Perhaps only those who are ignorant would believe such nonsense from him. 5 Anbu ninjas from Hidden Cloud's village fell into silence one after another. They were still thinking about how to escape from this place and send the information back to the village. After all, they only had a few little kids from the Whitebeard pirates around them. Although they were all seriously injured, dealing with a few weak little kids shouldn't be a problem, right? But when they saw with their own eyes that Whitebeard's punch caused such a terrifying destruction, the 5 Anbu ninjas from Hidden Cloud's village immediately dispelled the idea of running away. They also quickly discarded some bold ideas that came to mind. Because, they just wanted to capture the little kids around them alive. Then use this to threaten Whitebeard to let them go. Now they realized that if they really do this, the end of the 5 of them might be even more miserable than the members of the Akatsuki. How can there be people who possess such earth-shattering power? A Hidden Cloud's village Anbu swallowed his saliva in the dark. He felt a bit dry and tongue-tied. As an Anbu ninja, even if a mountain collapsed in front of him, he should remain calm. But the power that Whitebeard showed in their eyes was even more terrifying than a mountain collapsing. The 5 of them, without any agreement, had the same thought in their minds: is their 4th Raikage-sama a match for Whitebeard? The Hidden Cloud's village Anbu recalled the strength of their own ninja world's Raikage-sama, and then recalled Whitebeard's earth-shattering punch. They actually came to a conclusion that they all found incredible. Raikage-sama is most likely not a match for Whitebeard. At least, Raikage-sama doesn't have the kind of ninjutsu that can cause such a big destruction. This doesn't mean they are not loyal enough to the 4th Raikage. But it is what it is. They can't just distort the facts because they are loyal to the 4th Raikage, can they? Cough. Cough. Sasuke, who was saved by Kisame earlier, was slowly waking up. The first thing he did when he opened his eyes was to try to stand up quickly and continue fighting with Itachi Uchiha. But when the full view of the devastation appeared in his eyes, Sasuke's movements paused. His somewhat embarrassed little face was full of astonished expressions. What is this? This is Pops making a move. The voice of Neji came from beside Sasuke. It turns out that during the time Sasuke was unconscious, it was Neji who was protecting him. Neji explained. Your brother ran away in a very embarrassing manner when facing Pops. Sasuke's little face was a bit dull. That man was also so vulnerable when facing Pops? Sasuke, congratulations. Neji suddenly said something that Sasuke didn't understand. Sasuke was a bit confused. He lost to that man. What is there to congratulate? Neji explained again. Your Sharingan now has 2 Tomoe. Sasuke. A few scattered crows flew out 2 or 3 kilometers away, and then slowly gathered into half a human shape in midair. 0.5 of Itachi Uchiha, as if he had lost all his strength, fell from a height of 5 or 6 meters. When his body fell to the ground below was stained with a pool of blood. Then another bloody figure fell from the sky. Coincidentally, it was hung on a branch of a tree. Then, the hilt of the Kubikaribicho fell to the ground. This is Biwajazo. 2 men in a very embarrassing state, only less than 30 meters apart, are all in a state of unconsciousness. From the outside, the most miserable one is Itachi Uchiha. Because his left arm has disappeared from his shoulder. A quarter of his face was also missing, revealing broken teeth inside. What's even more shocking is that his legs below the knees have disappeared. Blood kept gushing out from the wound, and his face had turned pale as paper. If Itachi Uchiha stays in this state for more than 2 minutes, he will surely not survive today. Biwajazo, who was hung on a tree, also looked miserable, but compared to Itachi Uchiha who lost his arms and legs, Biwajazo was intact. But his intact limbs were twisted in different degrees. Obviously, his hands and feet had severe fractures. Even the ribs in his body didn't know how many had broken. The internal organs also suffered different degrees of damage. Fortunately, it did not endanger his life. Under this state, even if no one takes care of him, he will probably wake up after being unconscious for several hours. How miserable. Only 2 of the 4 people escaped, just like Obito's experience. At this time, a white Zetsu drilled out of the ground. White Zetsu first looked at Itachi Uchiha who was close at hand. Then he turned his head to look at Biwajazo hanging on the tree. The Akatsuki organization is related to a very important plan. Every action in the organization, in fact, has White Zetsu secretly monitoring. Even Nagato didn't know about this surveillance. Itachi Uchiha is a very important newcomer. His Mangekyo power can be said to be the absolute nemesis of the tailed beasts. This white Zetsu said a few words expressionlessly. As for the guy called Biwajuzo, just save him by the way. A few seconds later, several more white Zetsus emerged from the ground. The white Zetsus were clearly divided, some carefully held Itachi Uchiha, and some carefully held Biwajuzo. On the other side, a small black box was embedded in the rock of the mountain. The surface of the black box suffered severe damage. You can see a heart faintly beating inside. Suddenly, the black box moved. Several small puppet mechanical legs drilled out of the black box. The mechanical legs struggled hard, and finally struggled out of the rock. But just as this black box wanted to continue moving, a big foot suddenly stepped on it. Ha! Found you. Kisame grinned. You should not be something on Itachi Uchiha, or Biwajuzo, right? So, you should be the person who controls the puppet? Why don't you speak now? Don't you want to speak? Say sorry. Chapter 257, Naruto, use summoning, impure world reincarnation to resurrect Ace. Capture 2 Akatsuki. At the port dock of Muku Town, Orochimaru and Whitebeard face each other. This is their third meeting. The first time they met, Orochimaru was very confident in front of Whitebeard. The second time they met, Orochimaru was very nervous in front of Whitebeard. The third time they met, Orochimaru felt fear towards Whitebeard. 3 completely different emotional changes made Orochimaru's forehead break out in cold sweat. The distance between the two is just less than 5 meters. As long as Whitebeard is willing, Orochimaru's body is likely to die on the spot. You should know that Orochimaru's reincarnation of the dead has a time limit. Every time this technique is successful, it requires 3 years of cooling before it can be reincarnated into the next body. That is to say, if Orochimaru's body is killed by Whitebeard, then the next time he wants to reincarnate, he will have to wait for more than a year. Because, this body of his was reincarnated more than a year ago. As for running away, Orochimaru did think of many ways to escape in just a few seconds, but no matter which method, it requires a certain amount of time to prepare. Among them, there are many methods that must sacrifice this body of his. The safest way is to let Manda use the reverse summoning technique in the Rechi Cave. In this way, he can easily escape and appear in the Rechi Cave instantly. But he accidentally offended Manda last time. He even almost killed Manda. Will Manda save him this time? Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr Orochimaru with hollow eyes. You almost died in the hands of the Whitebeard pirates several times. Do you still want to challenge the Whitebeard pirates persistently? Want to challenge me, Whitebeard? Orochimaru's back was also wet with cold sweat. He could only squeeze out a smile to calm himself down. Can I say? This is just a coincidence? Orochimaru said. The Akatsuki organization just asked me to investigate the information of Jinchuriki. I didn't know I would meet you here. Revealing some information about the Akatsuki organization, for Orochimaru, there is no psychological burden at all. And what he said was all true. Who could have thought that he would meet Whitebeard here? If Orochimaru had known this day would come, he would definitely refuse the task assigned to him by the organization leader. Even if it means tearing his face with Akatsuki. Orochimaru would not hesitate. Whitebeard hooked the corner of his mouth. Little brat. Your name is Orochimaru, right? Hee hee. Being remembered by such a man as Whitebeard is the greatest honor for me, Orochimaru. Orochimaru replied to Whitebeard's question. Whitebeard laughed heartily. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr said. I know that you are staring at me closely. As long as I show the slightest sign of running away, I will die here. Orochimaru really wanted to run, but he knew he couldn't run, at least he couldn't escape under the current situation. Because, the one staring at him is not just Whitebeard. There is also Tsunoda next to him, a Kakashi Hatake, and Shizue Uchiha behind him. All four directions, front, back, left, and right, were blocked. His only escape routes were the sky, underground, and space-time ninjutsu. But looking at the devastation behind Whitebeard, Orochimaru found that neither underground nor the sky were good escape routes. Surrounded by the Whitebeard pirates. Even though he had dozens of escape methods in his mind, there was no reliable way for him to escape perfectly. Tie him up. Whitebeard said to a group of his children, put him in the bottom cabin of Moby Dick, use your ninja's so-called sealing technique to seal him. Whitebeard grinned, since this guy is a member of the so-called Akatsuki, capturing him alive might be able to extort some money from that organization. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr sea, then tie up all the Navy inside, and ask the Navy headquarters for ransom. For Whitebeard, sometimes a living enemy is more valuable than a dead one. Pops, we can also use him to break through Kimimauro's psychological defense. And Naruto suddenly interjected, he once claimed to know a forbidden technique called summoning, impure world reincarnation. Oh? Whitebeard looked at Naruto, what is summoning, impure world reincarnation? Whitebeard knew that if Naruto suddenly brought up this thing, it meant that summoning, impure world reincarnation must be very complicated. Naruto was about to explain, but found that he had forgotten what to say. He pondered. Summoning, impure world reincarnation is a forbidden technique that allows the dead to return to the world in a special way. Kakashi helped explain, it is said to be a very cruel ninjutsu because every time a dead person is summoned, a living person must be killed as a sacrifice. It's not a cruel ninjutsu at all. Naruto retorted, what if the sacrifices we use are all our enemies? Or, are those who deserve to die? Naruto muttered and complained, a group of ninjas in the ninja world have killed so many people, and they regard this ninjutsu as a forbidden technique. Isn't his double standard? Kakashi was speechless. Then, Naruto continued, Pops, you told me that you have a son named Ace who died at the hands of the Navy. So can we use summoning, impure world reincarnation? To summon him from the underworld? Whitebeard raised his eyebrows. To be honest, Whitebeard was tempted. If the one who died was Whitebeard himself, then Whitebeard wouldn't want his silly children to disturb him in heaven. But if the one who died was his son, Whitebeard indeed wanted his son to live again. You can say he is selfish, but which pirate isn't selfish? Whitebeard is not a saint, and he doesn't want to be a saint. He is just a pirate. He is just a pops who wants his silly sons and silly daughters to live well. Speaking of which, it seems that Orochimaru, this little brat, cannot be used as a hostage to exchange for a large sum of money from the Akatsuki. Because the value of this little brat is much greater than money. It cannot be measured by money. Gorurura. Whitebeard clapped his hands, just lock this little brat up. Kakashi, Tsunade, from now on, you two will watch this little brat. Don't let him run away. Okay, Pops. Although Kakashi felt that he was not Orochimaru's opponent, he felt that there should be no problem in watching Orochimaru. Hey, old man Whitebeard, I'm not a member of your Whitebeard pirates, don't use that tone of dividing cotton clothes to give me orders. Tsunade just complained, but didn't say much else. She accepted Whitebeard's arrangement by default. Because Tsunade really wanted to keep a close eye on Orochimaru, to prevent him from causing harm in the ninja world. Only Orochimaru had a slight twitch at the corner of his mouth. He began to realize that he seemed to have become a prisoner of the Whitebeard pirates. Not to mention whether he can escape in the future. At least he can't escape now. It's really fate playing tricks on people. Orochimaru was silent for a long time, and could only utter such a sentence. He didn't have any other options. He could only admit his bad luck. Pops. I'm back. A sudden voice attracted everyone's attention. It was Kisame who had returned. Kisame held a damaged black box in his hand, attracting many people's attention. Orochimaru also took a curious look, his eyes showing a bit of different color. Kisame explained. This is what Pops asked me to go and get. If I'm not mistaken, this is the body of that puppet master. Ah. This thing is the body of the puppet master who claims to have created a puppet that can deal with Pops? Izumi Uchiha leaned over curiously. Isn't there a heart inside? Can a heart control a puppet? Kisame nodded and said. When I found him, he was still controlling this black box trying to escape. He probably used a special technique to seal his soul in his heart. There's such a technique? Tsunade was also a bit surprised. If you have such a magical technique, why not become a medical ninja instead of running to the Akatsuki organization to be a puppet master? Naruto was surprised. How did this guy start talking in the first place? He doesn't have a mouth here, right? Kakashi guessed. Maybe it's through a special way to control the puppet, and then use the puppet to make a sound? The group of people from the Whitebeard pirates chatted and then locked their eyes on Orochimaru. Because in their eyes, no one knows better than Orochimaru what the puppet master is all about. Indeed, Orochimaru is Sasori's partner. Although the two have always been at odds, Orochimaru does know Sasori very well. Until Whitebeard's gaze also glanced at Orochimaru, Orochimaru had to be forced to explain. His name is Sasori, he is a puppet master from Hidden Sand Village, very good at using puppets and dachshunds. The heart in the black box should be his real body. The reason I know this information about him is because more than a year ago, Whitebeard smashed his puppet body to pieces. Orochimaru paused, he continued. Don't look at him now that he can't move. Once he is stuffed into a specially made puppet, he can control that puppet and live again. Kisame suddenly remembers Sasori. A somewhat familiar name, anyone who makes me feel a bit familiar must have done something earth-shattering, right? He assassinated the third Kazekage of the Hidden Sand Village and is an S-class rogue ninja from Hidden Sand Village. Orochimaru had no psychological burden when selling his teammates. Say sorry. Damn Orochimaru. This disgusting guy revealed all his secrets in just a few words. What's the difference between what this bastard did and being a traitor to the Akatsuki organization? But even if he wanted to curse Orochimaru now, he couldn't do it, because his heart couldn't speak. As for why he could hear what Orochimaru was saying, it might be the magic of ninjutsu. And so, the Whitebeard pirates had a few more prisoners, namely 5 Anbu ninjas from Hidden Clouds Village, and 2 members of the Akatsuki organization. The Anbu ninjas from Hidden Clouds Village were tied up by the Whitebeard pirates without any resistance. After receiving simple treatment from Tsunade, their severe injuries were barely alleviated. At least their injuries were not life-threatening. Then, the 5 of them were thrown into the prison of Moby Dick, becoming neighbors with Samyu and Yujito. 9 ninjas from Hidden Clouds Village looked at each other in the prison of Moby Dick. It was not until then that these Hidden Clouds Village Anbu realized that the missing 2 tails Jinchuriki and Joan and Samyu were actually captured by the Whitebeard pirates. Was it Raikage-sama who sent you to investigate our whereabouts? Yujito sighed slightly. She recognized who they were by looking at the attire of these Hidden Clouds Village Anbu. Several Hidden Clouds Village Anbu fell silent. They tacitly acknowledged her guess. Yujito said, even if you find me, it's useless, because the tailed beast inside me has been taken away by the Whitebeard pirates. Yujito's words were shocking. Her brief words made the eyes of the 5 Anbu ninjas from Hidden Clouds Village bulge. They needed some time to digest this heavy news. The news of the Jinchuriki's disappearance was only recently reported to the 4th Raikage. How come they turned their heads and even the tailed beast of their Hidden Clouds Village was gone? If Raikage-sama knew about this, would he be furious like thunder? Then, she smiled bitterly and helplessly said, as far as I know, the Whitebeard pirates still want to sell me to Hidden Clouds Village as the 2 tails Jinchuriki. Because they said, as long as the people of Hidden Clouds Village don't know that I am no longer a Jinchuriki, Hidden Clouds Village will spend a lot of money to ransom me. 5 Hidden Clouds Village Anbu. This Whitebeard pirate group is too cunning. They really deserve to be called pirates, don't they? But, Yujito-sama, after your tailed beast was taken away, can you still? An Anbu from Hidden Clouds Village stopped talking here, but everyone knew what he wanted to say. Yujito explained, I was indeed going to die, but the Whitebeard pirates saved me with unknown method. At this time, Samyu, who had not spoken, calmly said, the next target of the Whitebeard pirates should be our 8 tails Jinchuriki from Hidden Clouds Village. They seem to want to collect all the tailed beasts in the entire ninja world for some reason. Just as they were talking, suddenly there were footsteps coming. A group of ninjas from Hidden Clouds Village immediately fell silent, turned their heads to look, and found that the person coming was the Sanin Orochimaru. Hee. Do you need to seal my chakra and acupuncture points? Isn't that a bit too cautious? Orochimaru ignored a group of ninjas from Hidden Clouds Village. He slowly turned his head and looked at Tsunade and Kakashi behind him. TSK, don't think I don't know you have a lot of escape methods. I don't want to see an empty cell first thing tomorrow morning. Tsunade pursed her lips. As Orochimaru's teammate, she knew Orochimaru too well. Then, Tsunade's mouth hooked, revealing a smirk. Orochimaru, I know you care about Kimimaro, you guys will meet soon. I wonder what he would think when he sees you in such a mess. Oh. Right. Tsunade seemed to think of something. She continued with a smile. You really want to avoid Jiraiya's search, right? Don't worry, you'll be fine hiding in the Whitebeard pirates' prison. That fool Jiraiya definitely won't find you. Orochimaru. Meanwhile, on the deck of Moby Dick. This is the information Biwajuzo gave us. Naruto held an open scroll in his hand. The scroll was filled with tiny characters like mosquitoes, all of which were information recorded by Biwajuzo during his time in the Akatsuki organization. Naruto just wanted to read the content of the information in front of everyone, but found that there were many words he didn't recognize. He was suddenly a bit embarrassed and quickly handed the scroll in his hand to Hinata next to him. Hinata blushed and took the scroll. Although she was the same age as Naruto, she had received some education before entering the ninja school because she came from a large family. Naturally, she is not as illiterate as Naruto. Hinata read the content of the scroll. The Akatsuki organization is a black organization with the nature of mercenaries, the economic source of the organization, generally doing mercenary tasks that can't be seen. The core members known so far do not exceed 10 people, all led by a person named Pain. Every member of the core, the strength is at least elite Jonin. Hinata read all the content of the information on the scroll in one breath, making her mouth dry. And Kisame, Izumi, Shizue and others next to her were all listening to this information very seriously. The Akatsuki member mentioned in the information called Kakazu, I seem to have heard of his name. Shizue Uchiha said. It seems to be a very famous mercenary ninja in the ninja world. Those who are targeted by him, basically will be removed from the ninja world. I didn't expect this guy to join the Akatsuki organization. Shizue sighed. This is a huge hidden monster. We underestimated the Akatsuki organization before. Kisame's face was indifferent, he showed a grim smile, and said. The so-called huge monster, if it bumps into our Whitebeard pirates, it will be as fragile as an egg. Kisame really had the confidence to say this. Because the Akatsuki organization in Whitebeard's hands has suffered countless times. Also, they seem to be interested in the tailed beasts as well. Biwajazo guessed in the information that they want to seize the tailed beasts of the ninja world. We and the Akatsuki organization may be competitors. Shizue said helplessly. Naruto rubbed his hands. Hee, let's see who is faster. Let's set off now to find the Eight Tails Jinchuriki. Chapter 258, The Furious Raikage. Kisame, let Moby Dick sail on land. Today, the fourth Raikage's mood is very bad, because he found that a group of unknown enemies appeared in the Land of Thunder. The Two Tails Jinchuriki has lost track, Samyu has also disappeared, and the 5 Hidden Clouds village Anbu he sent out to investigate have not returned. Under this circumstance, they must have encountered enemies. It is very likely the same group of enemies. What made the fourth Raikage even more upset was they, Hidden Clouds village, didn't even know who the enemy was. It's been less than 2 months since the Two Tails Jinchuriki went to hunt down a traitor from Hidden Clouds village. In less than 2 short months, 9 ninjas from Hidden Clouds village have gone missing. The missing ninjas are not just any geinin, the lowest rank is chunin from Hidden Clouds village. Among them, there are no shortage of jonin, and even a Jinchuriki. Damn it. Who is it? The fourth Raikage slapped another desk to pieces. This was already the 3rd unlucky desk. The raging anger in his chest made his forehead veins bulge, again and again targeting our Hidden Clouds village. Do they really think our Hidden Clouds village is a soft persimmon that can be easily manipulated by anyone? The key is, they still can't figure out who did it. Mainly because the people sent out to investigate have all disappeared. The fourth Raikage was almost furious. If he knew who did it, he wouldn't be so angry and upset, at least he could formulate a combat plan to deal with the enemy. But the village doesn't know anything. It's as if there's an invisible big hand behind the scenes, holding the entire Hidden Clouds village in its grip. Hidden Clouds village can't escape the grip of this big hand no matter what, and they don't know how to cut off this big hand. This feeling made Day feel particularly suffocated. He has a lot of strength, but he doesn't know which direction to use it. He even suspects that it was Hidden Leaf village who did it. After all, when the Two Tails Jinchuriki left the village, she was going to the coast of Land of Fire to kill a traitor from Hidden Clouds village. Land of Fire is the territory of Hidden Leaf village. This guess is quite reasonable. Moreover, he also heard that the 3rd Hokage Saratobe Hiruzen of Hidden Leaf village, in order to establish a bond with the 9 Tails Jinchuriki, did not hesitate to use such despicable tricks and means. In this way, such a shameless person might really covet their 2 Tails Jinchuriki from Hidden Clouds village. Raikage-sama, if an unknown enemy targets our village's Jinchuriki. At this time, Yarui, who looked a bit lazy, said seriously, then the next one. The person he wants to target, isn't it Killer Bee? A frown, the anger in his heart paused for a moment, but the next second he became even more furious. Bastard! They still wants to target our 8 Tails Jinchuriki? A's body surged with uncontrollable lightning-style chakra, and cracks appeared on the floor under his feet. This scene made Darue sweat profusely. Raikage-sama, you should calm down. Darue continued, if the other party really wants to do this, maybe we can counteract it, cooperate with Killer Bee inside and outside, and catch the enemy in one fell swoop. Although most of the people in Hidden Clouds village are muscular brutes, it doesn't mean that there are no people in this village who think with their brains. Darue's proposal made Day feel that it could indeed be done. After all, they take the initiative to attack, but they can't find out who the other party is, let alone where the other party is. Under such circumstances, they can only wait for the other party to come to them. Damn it. I was about to grind his teeth. When did I ever feel so suffocated? Just at this moment, there was a very urgent knock on the door from outside. Come in. A shouted with a fire in his heart. Soon, a Hidden Clouds village ninja pushed open the door and urgently reported. Raikage-sama, Samyu Jonin's younger brother, Atsui, is missing. According to neighbors near his home, he hasn't been seen for several days. Hearing this, A's anger flared, and he exhaled 2 puffs of white air. Why would this brat cause trouble at a time like this? How old is he this year? How dare he leave the village without permission? Darue shook his head helplessly. If I'm not mistaken, this kid probably went to find his sister. He's impulsive like that. On the other side, Whitebeard and the others had already left Moby Dick. After all, a ship as large as that couldn't navigate the inland rivers of the Land of Thunder. Of course, there were still people on the ship keeping an eye on the pirate ship and the captives. Tsunade, Kisame, and Shishui were the three watching Moby Dick. Even if an Anbu came, they wouldn't be afraid. The group that left Moby Dick to search for the Eight-Tails Jinchuriki Killer Bee consisted of Whitebeard, Naruto, Kakashi, Sasuke, Hinata, and Izumi. Among them, Hinata and Sasuke were definitely just tagging along. Sasuke had realized his own weakness after encountering Itachi Uchiha and fighting him. He felt the need for more challenging experiences. Hinata, on the other hand, followed Naruto because he was there. In addition, they also brought a Hidden Clouds village Anbu. They needed someone to guide them. The Whitebeard pirates didn't know where the Eight-Tails Jinchuriki Killer Bee was, but they believed the Hidden Clouds village Anbu would have that information. At this moment, on a narrow path between towering mountains on both sides, a Hidden Clouds village Anbu was tightly bound. His Anbu mask had long been discarded, revealing a face as dark as charcoal. The Hidden Clouds village Anbu's expression showed stubbornness. He spat out a mouthful of saliva and gritted his teeth. Don't think that just because you pirates have captured me, I'll reveal any information about the village. I will never say a word. Hidden Clouds village has no cowards, and I am certainly not the one who betrays the village. His face also held a touch of disdain as he continued, if you have the guts, go ahead and torture me. Whether you pull out my fingernails, extract my teeth, or even chop off my third leg, I won't talk. Don't assume that we, the Whitebeard pirates, are so wicked. We're not shinobi. How could we possibly use torture on captives? Izumi Uchiha smiled. Although her mood had been bad after encountering Itachi Uchiha, she had recovered after a few days of adjustment. Izumi Uchiha smiled and continued, not only do we have the ability to make you reveal information, but we can also have you personally lead us there. As she finished speaking, Izumi Uchiha's eyes suddenly transformed into the three Tomoe Sharingan. Under the influence of Sharingan Genjutsu, the Hidden Clouds village Anbu's expression froze. He trembled as he raised a hand and pointed in a direction, that way. Approximately 200 kilometers. There's a mountain peak called Unrai Gorge. His speech sounded hesitant, and he seemed almost like a puppet. The next moment, his vacant expression and gaze returned to normal. The Hidden Clouds village Anbu acted as if he didn't know what had just happened. He glared angrily at Izumi Uchiha and snorted. I know your Uchiha clan's Genjutsu is powerful, but it's impossible to hypnotize me. Even if you stare at me with those eyes all day long, I'll remain clear-headed. I am an elite Anbu of Hidden Clouds village, trained to resist Genjutsu. Yes, you're amazing. Izumi Uchiha suppressed a laugh. We really can't get any information from you. Hidden Clouds village as shinobi don't seem very bright. Sasuke muttered to Naruto, leaning in beside him. Naruto pondered for a moment. Maybe it's because of their skin color? Kakashi was walking while holding a small book. He didn't say a word throughout, his face was somewhat flushed, as if he had seen something very exciting. Hinata was also following behind Naruto with a blushing face. She would occasionally lift her head to look at Naruto's back, then lower her head again with a red face. Whitebeard stood behind a group of foolish sons and daughters. With every step he took, his Murakamagiri would gently tap on the ground, each time making a not-so-shallow pit in the ground. At this moment, Whitebeard suddenly said, Sasuke. Karen told me a while ago that she wants to let out the two tails inside her. She also said that the two tails, which are good at controlling fire, are not suitable for her. Upon hearing Pop's words from behind, Sasuke turned around in surprise. Immediately after, Whitebeard laughed loudly. I've thought about it. When we return to Moby Dick, I'll transfer that big cat to you. Gorura, I don't want to see my foolish son encounter that parasite again next time, and get beaten up so miserably by him. Sasuke's eyes widened a bit, a touched emotion welled up in his heart. His vision seemed a bit blurry. Thank you, Pops. Sasuke couldn't help but sniff the clear snot that was about to flow out. Then, Sasuke asked a bit curiously. What about Karen? Whitebeard laughed heartily. Gorura. Then let's catch that three-tailed big turtle for her. That big turtle is quite suitable for Karen. Sasuke, are you crying? Naruto couldn't help but put his face next to Sasuke's, carefully looking at the corner of Sasuke's eyes. Sasuke's face turned red instantly, and he pushed Naruto away. Stupid Naruto, you're the one who's crying. Ah. It hurts. Sasuke, your hand poked my eye. I can't see. Ah. I didn't mean to. Do you want me to blow on it? Fooled you. Haha. Damn Naruto. I'm going to kill you. Kakashi put down the small book slightly and glanced at Naruto and Sasuke who were playing around. He couldn't help but sigh. The young people nowadays really have a lot of energy. For some reason, he thought of Obito. Kakashi's eyes flashed a layer of gloom. Perhaps he really wanted to try and see if his eye could possess the power of Mangekyo Sharingan? Because only with that kind of power can he go head-to-head with Obito. Meanwhile, at the Moby Dick. Although Whitebeard is not here for the time being, the crew members of the Whitebeard Pirates still have their own things to do. Daily training is indispensable, especially for the little kids like Haku, Karen, Naji, and Ino. The training content is self-abuse, all looking at Naruto. After all, it is indeed comfortable under the protection of Whitebeard wings, but they also want to have a day when they can spread their wings and soar freely over the sea. Uzumaki Faashi looked curiously at Kisame who was messing with a small fishing boat. Kisame, what are you doing? Just then, Kisame dragged the small fishing boat to the shore, showing a mouthful of sharp teeth and laughed. Preparing to develop a ninjutsu. After saying this, Kisame put his hands together and started to make seals quickly. A second later, gurgling water surged to the bottom of the fishing boat, lifting the fishing boat that had been dragged ashore. Kisame took a deep breath and tried to control the direction of the water flow. As a result, the water flow was too fast, and the small fishing boat swooshed and hit a reef on the shore in front of it. It was directly smashed to pieces. TSK. Kisame shook his head in disappointment. It seemed he'd have to go borrow another ship. Uzumaki Faashi had a rough idea and asked, surprised. Kisame-san, are you planning to sail the ship on land? Kisame replied. Exactly. This way, Moby Dick can truly roam the ninja world. Uzumaki Faashi couldn't help but imagine the scene. A massive Moby Dick riding the waves like a small mountain on the road. If the ninja villages, who considered themselves immune to pirates, witnessed this, their jaws would surely drop in shock. Just then, from Moby Dick's deck came a string of curses. You idiots! What kind of crap puppet did you stuff me into? You might as well kill me directly. Get me out of this wretched puppet. A crudely made puppet was unraveling itself in frustration. Its proportions were odd, with legs of different lengths, and its wooden face was downright ugly. The puppet's chest housed Sasori's regenerating core. Clearly, the one currently yelling and cursing was Sasori. This is the best puppet I could make. Iruka explained tearfully to Sasori. It wasn't my intention, but Tsunade-sama ordered it. I've always said I'm not good at puppet making. Indeed, this unattractive puppet was crafted by Iruka. Iruka didn't know much about puppets. He only learned the basics of puppet making in Hidden Leaf Village. As for how well he learned, the crudely assembled puppet before him was a testament to his proficiency. Hey, kid, watch your language. Tsunade scolded. We've given you a new body, which is already generous treatment for a captive. Don't complain about our Hidden Leaf Village's puppetry. The puppet's wooden face widened its two eyes in shock, and one eye even popped out with a bang. Sasori immediately retorted. You call this crap puppetry? Hidden Leaf Village using this garbage to insult puppetry? You people don't understand puppetry. You don't appreciate art. Tsunade casually cleaned her ear, saying. Getting you a new body is already a favor from the Whitebeard Pirates. Don't ask for too much, kid. Land of Rain. Akatsuki. I never expected it would be you who saved me. Itachi Uchiha lay on a stone bed. His expression was complex as he turned to the masked Madara Uchiha beside him. Itachi believed that Madara Uchiha was the one who saved him because the first thing he saw upon waking was this person. In reality, both Itachi Uchiha and Biwajuzo were saved by a white Zetsu. However, since their injuries had already healed, thanks to Obito, who showed no signs of injury himself, he took credit for the rescue. More accurately, it was me who saved both of you. Obito pinched his elderly voice, glancing at Biwajuzo. What do you think? Was it Whitebeard who injured you like this? Biwajuzo nodded, his face showing a touch of resentment. He played his part dramatically. We never expected to encounter that man. Wrapped in bandages, Biwajuzo gritted his teeth. Someday, I'll have my revenge. I'll personally take that man's head. Hey. Obito sneered, not denying it. Even with Toby, they weren't a match for Whitebeard. Just you, a member of the Ninja Sword 7, are also worthy of killing Whitebeard? Orochimaru and Sasori, they didn't come back with you? Only you two newbies came back? A sudden cold voice came from behind Obito. It was Konan. Konan squinted her beautiful eyes, scrutinizing Itachi Uchiha and Biwajuzo. She asked. How can you make me believe what you say? What if you two conspired with the Whitebeard Pirates, framed Orochimaru and Sasori, and then infiltrated the Akatsuki. This possibility is not non-existent. The short sentence made both Biwajuzo and Itachi Uchiha startled. One of them is a mole from the Whitebeard Pirates or Hidden Mist Village infiltrating the Akatsuki. The other is a mole from Hidden Leaf Village infiltrating the small organization. Although Conan said it wrong in the process, she got the result right. Itachi Uchiha, who was lying on the stone bed, said without changing his face. We almost lost our lives to carry out the Akatsuki's mission. Under such circumstances, if you still doubt us too, just expel us from the Akatsuki. Biwajuzo also echoed. Hey, it seems to have nothing to do with me? The Whitebeard Pirates attacked us because Itachi Uchiha offended the Whitebeard Pirates, right? His younger brother is Whitebeard's adopted son. It's just a casual remark, you two don't need to be so excited. The voice of Pain of the Outer Path echoed faintly. We will find out why the Whitebeard Pirates appeared in the Land of Thunder. The Akatsuki has experienced many mission failures over the years. But none of them were as embarrassed as today. Among the 4 members of the small organization, there are 2 strong old men and 2 newcomers with strong potential. As a result, they were all beaten up by Whitebeard in an instant. 2 of the older members are even missing. The powerful strength displayed by Whitebeard gave the Akatsuki a deeper understanding. Chapter 259, 8 Tails Jinchuriki Killer Bee. Whitebeard's rampant shock. A few days passed. A little kid who seemed to have just graduated from the Hidden Clouds Village Ninja School not long ago was sneaking through a steep mountain forest path. He would occasionally look back at the situation behind him, and when he saw that no one was following him, he breathed a sigh of relief. Damn it, there are no adults in the village, those guys, they can't find my sister at all. This little kid is Samu's younger brother Atsui, he has light golden hair and white skin. In addition to a pair of turquoise eyes, his features are somewhat similar to his sister, but the two have very different looks. His sister Samu is a well-known iceberg beauty in Hidden Clouds Village, but Atsui, as a younger brother, has a face that is completely forgettable at first glance. Humphrey, it seems that I can't count on them, I have to count on myself. Atsui has been away from the village for several days, and all the way, he was worried that he would be caught and taken back. Now it seems that the ninjas in the village are really not very good. He ran so far and they still haven't caught him back. I remember. A while ago, I accidentally heard my sister say that she was going to the Land of Thunder's Muku town to perform a ninja mission. Atsui held a map he bought 2 days ago in his hand, he muttered. This should be the right way. Just as he was looking at the map with his head down, a sudden sound from the front scared him. Hey, the person ahead. If you don't look up and pay attention to the road, we're going to collide. The voice sounded young and childlike, perhaps even younger than Atsui. Atsui quickly stashed the map into his pocket and hurriedly raised his head. The scene before him left him utterly stunned. In front of him were several individuals, 3 children younger than him, a slightly older girl, and 2 adults. Atsui widened his eyes in disbelief. Because he saw a towering giant. This giant stood amidst the steep mountain forest, even taller than some of the surrounding trees. Its exaggerated size left him awestruck. Why you? Who are you? Atsui couldn't help but swallow nervously. This was the first time he had left Hidden Clouds Village. He never expected such an extraordinary existence beyond the village. He had never heard of anything like this before. Could there really be a race of giants in this world? I'm Naruto Uzumaki. Upon hearing the question, Naruto perked up. He grinned and introduced himself enthusiastically. I'm a pirate. The captain of the Whitebeard Pirates' First Division, and the man destined to surpass the Hokage. Naruto continued to introduce the others on his side. This guy is Sasuke Uchiha, and there's Kakashi Hatake, Izumi Uchiha, and Hinata Hyuga. Most importantly, this is our Whitebeard Pirates captain, Edward Newgate, also known as Whitebeard. As for the Hidden Clouds Village Anbu, Naruto didn't bother introducing him. Hearing Naruto's spirited introduction, Atsui's eyes widened even further. Whitebeard Pirates? Although Atsui wasn't aware of giants in the ninja world, he had heard of the Whitebeard Pirates' reputation. So you're the Whitebeard Pirates? And he? Atsui nervously swallowed. He's the one with a bounty of 100 million? Huh? You knew Pops? Naruto looked surprised. We've traveled through many towns on our way here, but the ordinary people in the Land of Thunder don't seem to recognize us. At this point, Sasuke chimed in. Naruto, this guy clearly isn't an ordinary person. Haven't you noticed the ninja tools pouch strapped to his thigh? Sasuke scrutinized the stranger. Analyzing calmly, he said. If I'm not mistaken, you're a genin from Hidden Clouds Village, right? Atsui fell silent, essentially confirming Sasuke's guess. Oh? Naruto's interest peaked. A genin from Hidden Clouds Village? Capturing him should be worth quite a sum, maybe a few 100,000 ryo. The bound Hidden Clouds Village ninja didn't know what to say. If he remembered correctly, this kid was Samu's younger brother. What was his name again? This kid showing up alone here. Could he be searching for his missing sister? Now they were both caught by the Whitebeard pirates. And Atsue quickly realized the situation. He nervously drew a kunai. You want to capture me? I'm a genin from Hidden Clouds Village, a top graduate from the Ninja Academy. I'm not just some Sharingan. Sasuke's eyes suddenly opened wide. A Sharingan Ganjutsu was instantly cast into Atsue's mind. Atsue's face turned blank. Who knows what he saw in the Ganjutsu? His eyes rolled back. And he passed out. 500,000 in hand. Sasuke's dual Tomoe Sharingan returned to normal. A cool expression appeared on his face as he smirked. Is this a genin from Hidden Clouds Village? Is this the outstanding graduate of Hidden Clouds Village? TSK, nothing special. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr You're getting more and more skilled. You silly son. When Atsue slowly woke up, he found himself tied up. And he found that he was tied up with a dark-skinned person, who was obviously from the Land of Thunder at first glance. Wait, when was he captured? Atsue's eyes widened. He tried to struggle, but he was bound by a thumb-thick steel rope. Even the Hidden Clouds village Anbu couldn't struggle, let alone a child like him. Damn it, what are you trying to do? Let me go! Atsue shouted. You are one of our Whitebeard pirate group's Hidden Clouds village prisoners. Hinata's soft voice rang out. We won't let you go. Atsue's face grumbled. I still have to find my sister, I can't be caught by you, let me go. Sister? Hinata asked curiously. What's your sister's name? Atsue realized that he had let something slip. He wanted to not answer the question, but the girl was too cute. Sammy. Atsue quietly said his sister's name. Hinata's face showed a hint of surprise, then she chuckled lightly. Atsue gritted his teeth. Hey. What's so funny about my sister's name? Hinata explained. If your sister is a Jonin from Hidden Clouds village, then you've actually found your sister. Because. Hinata kindly reminded. She is also a prisoner of our Whitebeard pirate group. Atsue. The Onrai Gorge is an island mountain within the Land of Thunder, surrounded by a continuous range of island mountains. Below are rivers that divide each mountain, each river winding around in numerous bends. The rivers are very turbulent, and there are many hidden reefs in the water. Even the locals of the Land of Thunder are reluctant to go to such places. Because if you're not careful, the river boat will hit a reef and capsize. I've been waiting for almost 10 days. The enemies you mentioned haven't appeared here yet. Why don't you retreat first, and let me face them alone when they arrive? Yo. A rhythmic voice sounded from the top of the Onrai Gorge. You could see a man wearing sunglasses, his muscular body bulging, Killer B, negotiating with a Hidden Clouds village and Bujonin. Killer B-sama, we are also following Raikage-sama's orders. If Raikage-sama tells us to leave, we will leave. The Hidden Clouds village Anbu Jonin shook his head and said. The Anbu Jonin continued. If the enemies in the dark are indeed targeting the Jinchuriki of Hidden Clouds village, they will definitely come knocking. It's just a matter of time. Wait, hold on. Killer B suddenly pulled out a pen and a small notebook. What I just said rhymed nicely. I'm going to jot it down and use it in my new song. The Hidden Clouds village Anbu Jonin's mouth twitched. He wasn't sure whether he should deflate Killer B-sama's enthusiasm. After all, not many people appreciated his rap, and his concerts were always empty. However, seeing Killer B-sama earnestly taking notes, he decided to let it go. Better not disturb this Jinchuriki's mood. Whoosh! Suddenly, a figure sprinted over from a distance. It was a Hidden Clouds village ninja who immediately reported to the two in front of him. About 2 kilometers west, there's a ship heading this way. The Hidden Clouds village Anbu Jonin's expression tightened, and Killer B's sporadic writing paused. Are they really being so brazen? It doesn't quite feel like an enemy. But regardless, notify everyone to prepare immediately. No room for complacency. The Hidden Clouds village Anbu Jonin promptly issued the order. Meanwhile, on a not-so-large riverboat, the bound Hidden Clouds village Anbu's expression had shifted dramatically. He stared incredulously at Izumi Uchiha before him, his tone filled with shock. How did you pirates know about this place? He had no inkling that all the information had been revealed by him. Izumi Uchiha's Sharingan Genjutsu easily manipulated him. Of course, pirates have their ways. Izumi Uchiha smirked but didn't reveal the truth. Then she gazed at a nearby mountain peak. That's the central area of Onrai Gorge, right? It's the largest mountain around. She glanced at the visibly distressed Hidden Clouds village Anbu and teased. The Eight-Tails Jinchuriki from Hidden Clouds village lives there, right? The mountaintop provides a perfect vantage point to oversee distant Hidden Clouds village. If Hidden Clouds village is attacked by outsiders, the Eight-Tails Jinchuriki can use tailed beast balls from afar to counter the invaders, isn't that so? The Hidden Clouds village Anbu were dumbfounded. How did the other side know such detailed information? Could a group of pirates really have better intelligence capabilities than some village Anbu? I don't know if it's just me, but I have a bad feeling. Kakashi had already stowed away Pakkun. His masked face carried a hint of seriousness. Hidden Clouds village might have anticipated our arrival. Kakashi analyzed. After all, their Two-Tails Jinchuriki has been missing, so they'll definitely sense something amiss. If they broaden their thinking a bit, they'll realize someone is targeting their village's Jinchuriki. Izumi Uchiha pondered. So Kakashi-senpai means there's a high probability of an ambush ahead? Kakashi nodded. Our chances of being ambushed are probably no less than 80%. His analysis was based on experience, and this terrain was ideal for an ambush. Their boat was conveniently situated in the lowest area, surrounded by various mountains. If enemies lay in wait here, they'd face attacks from all directions. However, among their group, did anyone know more about potential ambushes than Whitebeard? After all, Whitebeard observation hockey could cover an entire island. And it's a very large island. If there are people hiding in the dark, and they show malicious intent, Pops will definitely be able to detect it immediately. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr bushes, and not a few. Probably about 20 or so little ninja devils from Hidden Cloud's village. Indeed, Whitebeard only needs to sweep with his observation hockey, and he can sense which direction people are hiding in. Hearing this, Hinata hurriedly whispered, "Byakugan. Open." Hinata's gaze began to wander around. The observation range of the Byakugan is a radius of 1 kilometer. Within this range, all kinds of monsters and ghosts can't hide from Hinata's eyes. Because the Byakugan can also see through. "Hinata, what did you find?" Naruto asked curiously. "Where are the 20 or so ninjas that Pops mentioned hiding?" Hinata first pointed in one direction, then immediately answered. "Naruto-kun, there are 7 people hiding on the cliff to the left." Hinata shifted her direction again, she pointed to the water in front of her. "There are also 3 people hiding in the water ahead. That large reef that is exposed is a transformation jutsu used by 4 people. There are 9 people hiding on the cliff to the right, there are also 2 people on the mountain ahead." Kakashi raised an eyebrow. "Including the help from the 8 tails, there are a total of 25 ninjas? I guess they are all not weak ninjas, right? Hidden Cloud's village really thinks highly of us." Naruto was counting on his fingers. "If they are all Jonin, 1 is 10 million. 2 is 20 million. 25. Naruto felt like he had encountered a century-old problem. His 10 fingers couldn't count it. "Idiot Naruto, do you still need to count on your fingers? It's 250 million. Sasuke reminded him with a black line on his forehead. "Were you sleeping when Iruka-sensei taught you math?" On the other side. Wait. The Hidden Clouds village ninjas who were secretly observing the ship suddenly noticed a very burly giant on the ship, which made them stare in amazement. The key is that this giant's appearance is too similar to a man they remember. It's Whitebeard. A Hidden Clouds village ninja lowered his voice and exclaimed in horror. "It's the Whitebeard pirates. The only man in the entire ninja world who is so tall as Whitebeard. They could never mistake him. Did the Whitebeard pirates target our Jinchuriki from Hidden Clouds village? If that's the case, all the doubts can be explained. Which of these ninjas doesn't know about some of Whitebeard's deeds? They all know that Whitebeard, this man, once defeated a perfect Jinchuriki in the Land of Water's Hidden Mist village. The Jinchuriki who was defeated and killed by Whitebeard was the 4th Mizukage of Hidden Mist village. That is to say, the Whitebeard pirates definitely have the strength to capture a Jinchuriki. The Two Tails Jinchuriki meeting the Whitebeard pirates, indeed only has the share of being captured. This is just a better guess. One rather ominous speculation is that Yujiro might already be dead at the hands of the Whitebeard pirates. Those despicable pirates. How dare they act so arrogantly? Do they think our Hidden Clouds village is like Hidden Mist village, where we have to endure pirate aggression silently? A Hidden Clouds village ninja clenched his teeth in anger. He wished he could rush out right now and intercept the Whitebeard pirates. But his companion immediately held him back. "Hold on, calm down. Besides Whitebeard, there are others on the ship." Using binoculars, they recognized several familiar faces aboard the not-so-large riverboat. Among them was Kakashi Hatake from Hidden Leaf Village. Why would Hidden Leaf Village get involved? The Hidden Clouds village ninjas exchanged worried glances. Could it be that Hidden Leaf Village and the Whitebeard pirates have joined forces to target us? What does Hidden Leaf Village really want? Are they trying to incite the Fourth Great Ninja War? This didn't quite match their impression of the relatively weaker Hidden Leaf Village. They had hostages. Soon, they noticed two bound individuals on the boat. Carefully examining them through the binoculars, they realized these were Hidden Cloud's village shinobi. This situation caught them off guard. Despicable, treacherous pirates. Treacherous Whitebeard. Bringing hostages to Unrai Gorge. It's too obvious. We don't need to guess anymore. The disappearance of the Two-Tails Jinchuriki must be related to this Whitebeard pirates. But just then, a hearty laughter echoed through the sky. The voice from Whitebeard reached every Hidden Clouds Village ninja's ears. Listen up, you bunch of Hidden Clouds Village ninja brats. Instead of whispering secretly, think about how you'll survive the next moment. Gorara. What? All the Hidden Clouds Village ninjas paled. They had been discovered? Impossible. After all, they had kept their voices extremely low during their conversation. This must be the pirates bluffing. Testing their reactions, right? However, Whitebeard soon demonstrated that this wasn't mere bluff. He gripped Murakamagiri's hilt with one hand, a hearty smile on his lips. An invisible aura stirred up waves. As Whitebeard exerted a bit of force, a vibrating light wave appeared on Murakamagiri's blade. When facing an alleged ambush, the best response was direct, brute force. Whitebeard had no interest in tangling with a bunch of ninja brats. Time for the pirates was also time. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr atmosphere ahead. With a sharp crack, the air split instantly. A raging shockwave erupted. Chapter 260, Eight Tails Brat. Either be my son, or get beaten half to death. A semi-transparent shockwave visible to the naked eye covered everything within Whitebeard's line of sight with an irresistible force. The power of the quake fruit burst out at this moment. The river under the ship was first affected by the shockwave. A large amount of river water was rolled up. Layers of river water kept rising, forming waves tens or even hundreds of meters high. This made the muddy riverbed below clearly visible. But the shockwave also affected the muddy riverbed. The riverbed began to show a series of ferocious cracks. The riverbed also began to be arched up by the shockwave, like the river water, layer upon layer, and kept rising. The fish, shrimp, crabs, and turtles in the river could not escape the devastation of this power. Then it was the surrounding mountains that were affected by the quake fruit. The mountains began to tremble violently. The mountain body shook violently and very exaggerated mountain cracks appeared. A large amount of soil and falling rocks rolled down from the mountain. But before they had time to fall into the river, they were shattered by the shock wave. The air was extremely distorted and shaken. Dense atmospheric cracks had spread within a range of thousands of meters ahead. The rumbling sound of the mountain cracking kept ringing in the ears, also making the Hidden Clouds village ninjas hiding around change their faces. The scene in front of them, like a natural disaster, made their pupils shrink. The trembling ground under their feet and the collapsing mountains made them extremely shocked. Just a move could cause such an amazing natural disaster. Is this the legendary Whitebeard? Is this the man who has a bounty of 100 million in the ninja world? With such a strong power, is it sure that it is only worth a bounty of 100 million? How much do they look down on this power? Isn't it worth 500 million? Even a bounty of 1 billion is not excessive. But before these Hidden Clouds village ninjas had time to escape, the oncoming shockwave had already enveloped their bodies. In just an instant, their consciousness in their minds buzzed. It was as if an invisible air hammer had hit their heads hard several times. Their brains were shaking crazily with the shockwave, and in less than 2 seconds, all of them lost consciousness. Under the ravages of the shockwave, their clothes and skin began to explode, and blood spurted from their bodies like it was free. One after another, their figures were violently thrown onto the mountain by the shockwave. Their bodies were embedded in it. Those who lost consciousness vomited a mouthful of blood, and the bones in their bodies, they didn't know how many were broken. Although the ninjas of Hidden Clouds village are very good at taijutsu, the fruit power that Whitebeard casually used can easily shatter steel, let alone air bones that are much weaker than steel. The semi-transparent shockwave visible to the naked eye has already rushed towards Unrai Gorge. There are only 2 people on the top of Unrai Gorge. One is the Hidden Clouds village Anbo Jonin, who is responsible for commanding the ambush of the Whitebeard pirates, and the other is the 8 Tails Jinchuriki Killer Bee of Hidden Clouds village. It was also at this moment that the Hidden Clouds village Anbo Jonin's face changed dramatically. The scene of destruction in front of him made him suddenly realize that they seemed to have provoked a man they shouldn't have provoked. Under the strong stimulus of life being threatened, he burst out with unprecedented potential. Before the shockwave arrived, his hands quickly formed seals. Then he slapped his palms hard on the ground. Earth-style, Great Earth Flow Wall. The chakra in his body was being squeezed out by him madly. A very thick and huge earth wall rose from the ground. The thickness of the earth wall was even thicker than some city walls. Hidden Cloud's village Anbu Jonin didn't stop his actions. After standing up, he slammed both palms heavily onto the rising earthen wall. Chakra surged into the wall, attempting to make it harder than the mountain beneath his feet, all in an effort to withstand Whitebeard's seismic force. The next moment, shockwaves collided with the earthen barrier. Crack, crack, crack. Under the desperate gaze of the cloud shadow Anbu Jonin, the earthen wall, despite his full effort, developed visible cracks. In mere seconds, the earthen barrier couldn't hold up and shattered under the strain. Just as the shockwave was about to envelop him, a massive octopus tentacle suddenly extended from the side, enveloping the entire Hidden Clouds village Anbu Jonin. Boom, boom, boom. The shockwave hit the octopus tentacle, causing exaggerated ripples on its surface. Signs of cracking appeared as well. Killer B, feet planted firmly, used one of his arms transformed into an octopus tentacle to shield the Hidden Clouds village Anbu Jonin. Yet, despite his efforts, Killer B's feet continued to be pushed backward by the relentless force. Roar. He let out a furious cry. His veins bulged, every muscle in his body strained. Still, his feet carved a trench dozens of meters long in the ground. Bang, bang, bang. His clothes were shredded by the force, leaving only a scrap of cloth covering his lower body. When Killer B finally came to a halt, the raging shockwave seemed to subside. But before he could release the Hidden Clouds village Anbu Jonin from his protective grip, the main peak of Unrai Gorge suddenly trembled. A violent earthquake signaled that the mountain beneath his feet was collapsing. Boom. The sound of the mountain's collapse rivaled thunder. Dust billowed hundreds to thousands of meters high. Tons of boulders and soil, some weighing hundreds of tons or even tens of thousands of tons, plummeted downward. The massive mountain cracked open, revealing astonishing fissures. What had been a few hundred meters tall mountain now sank by a fifth. The collapsing mountain seemed precarious, as if another heavy blow would cause it to crumble entirely. Despite the destruction wrought by the seismic force across the landscape, Whitebeard's ship and everything behind him remained unscathed. Such precise control demonstrated Whitebeard's mastery over the Quake fruit's power. Whitebeard could exist without the Quake fruit. But the Quake fruit couldn't exist without Whitebeard. Is he a monster? Or a deity? Atsui, Samu's younger brother, stood there dumbfounded. The scene before him surpassed even his wildest dreams. At such a young age, how could he find words to describe what he was witnessing? Kid, now you understand why they captured me and why your sister was taken? The Hidden Clouds village Anbu, bound alongside him, wore a complex expression. That man seems to possess the power to destroy the world. It was hard to imagine the devastation Whitebeard's strike would cause if it hit Hidden Clouds village. In an instant, wouldn't half of Hidden Clouds village's population perish? Senpai, what about the nearby ambush of ninja? Could they all be dead? Atsui, despite his impulsive nature, still clung to some rationality, his voice trembling. The Hidden Clouds village Anbu spoke with a complex expression. Based on my shallow understanding of the Whitebeard pirates, they should leave survivors. Because they want to use our village's ninjas to exchange for ransom with Raikage-sama. Atsui was dumbfounded. But can anyone really survive this? He felt that if he were in such a terrifying environment where disasters were happening all around, he wouldn't be able to hold on for even a second. The Hidden Clouds village Anbu fiercely bumped his head against this little devil, then scolded with a black face. You little fool. Can't you say something nice? Can't you hope that the ninjas of the village are still alive? Atsui, who was bumped so hard that he saw stars, quickly shut his mouth. They seem to be still alive. Hinata's Byakugan did not turn off, but was watching the movements of those unlucky Hidden Clouds village ninjas. She leisurely said. It's just that their condition doesn't look very good, they seem to have fainted. This was considered good news among the bad news for the Hidden Clouds village Anbu. There was no way, facing such a terrifying man, being able to survive by a thread was already a great mercy from this man. Kakashi couldn't help but sigh. No matter how precise the ambush layout is, it really doesn't work in the face of absolute power. It was also at this time that Whitebeard had a smile on his face, squinting at the distance. His gaze seemed to be able to penetrate layers of thick dust. Whitebeard laughed heartily. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr bit stronger, it's at least several times stronger than the previous Jinchuriki. At the same time, Killer Bee had already let go of his tentacles. The Hidden Clouds village Anbu Jonin, who was protected by him, slid down from the giant tentacles. Cough coughed the Anbu Jonin, coughed heavily. Although he was well protected by Killer Bee, the power of the shockwave still penetrated the tentacles and injured the Anbu Jonin's internal organs, making him feel very uncomfortable all over. Plus the surrounding billowing smoke. It made it even harder for him to breathe. This is the rumored Whitebeard. Even if I'm here, I've heard his name before. It's said that this man's biggest hobby is to collect ninjas as daughters and sons. Killer Bee spoke with a serious expression, speaking with a poor rhyme, which seemed to have become his instinct. Then, he turned his head to look at the Anbu Jonin next to him. If you can still move, hurry back to the village to find reinforcements. I need at least 1,000 ninjas to compete with Whitebeard. Ah. What about you, Killer Bee-sama? The Anbu Jonin immediately said. The Whitebeard pirates are targeting Killer Bee-sama, isn't it best for you to leave with me? Killer Bee grinned, he took a few slow steps forward. Those 20 or so fellow villagers can't be left unrescued, right? I can't just stand by and watch them being hunted down one by the pirates of the Whitebeard pirates. Before the Anbu Jonin could react, Killer Bee had already jumped down, directly jumping down from the mountain. During the fall, he gestured and pointed to the sky with one hand. The chakra from the 8 tails instantly enveloped his body. A semi-transparent chakra coat appeared. A second later, Killer Bee's body heavily hit the turbulent river below, stirring up a spray of water about 20 meters high. The place where he stood was less than a kilometer from where Whitebeard was. The smoke and dust are all over the sky, but visibility remained relatively clear from below. Both sides could see each other with their own eyes. What an audacious man. His attack almost left me streaking. Killer Bee untied the bindings that held his ninja swords. All 7 blades were drawn from their sheaths, and he struck a unique pose, standing on the water's surface like a proud rooster. This was Killer Bee's exclusive 7-sword style. Let me handle this. Yo. Killer Bee's feet once again stirred up a spray of water. His figure raced across the water's surface, a fleeting streak of light. In less than a kilometer, thanks to Killer Bee's astonishing speed, he quickly closed in on the ship where Whitebeard stood. Pops. Let me give it a shot. Naruto was already excited. He knew the opponent was the 8 tails Jinchuriki, the cloak of tailed beast chakra was unmistakable. Naruto's own tailed beast chakra cloak enveloped him. He leaped onto the water's surface, charging directly towards the opponent. Compared to Killer Bee, who wielded weapons, Naruto was unarmed. A kid? He also has tailed beast chakra. Killer Bee blinked, and his forward momentum slowed slightly due to Naruto's sudden appearance. Don't underestimate that kid. He's the 9 tails Jinchuriki. The voice of the 8 tails ox echoed suddenly in Killer Bee's mind. Yo. The 9 tails Jinchuriki, huh? Killer Bee was surprised. The next moment, he saw the young figure before him, holding a massive Rasengan, pressing it toward him. Is that a Rasengan? The familiar technique reminded Killer Bee of a certain man. He swiftly dodged to the side, using precise control to send 3 ninja swords slashing toward Naruto's 3 different body parts. Naruto, sensing the danger through his observation haki, evaded Killer Bee's attacks. Both leaped backward, creating a standoff on the water's surface, 3 to 4 meters apart. They faced each other across the river. This guy is impressive. When facing him head-on, my observation haki is constantly warning me of potential danger. Naruto murmured to himself, his face showing excitement and anticipation rather than worry. However, his taijutsu is quite peculiar. Why is he wielding 7 swords simultaneously? Naruto muttered. Balancing on one foot, Killer Bee questioned Naruto. Hey, 9 tails brat, what is your relationship with Minato no Mikaze, the golden flash of Hidden Leaf Village? Indeed, the man who appeared in Killer Bee's mind was Minato no Mikaze during the Great Ninja War. Hidden Leaf Village's golden flash, Minato no Mikaze, had caused Hidden Cloud's village quite a bit of trouble. He's my biological father. Naruto's response was precise. Killer Bee was taken aback. So, the little kid in front of him is actually the son of Minato no Mikaze? Killer Bee-sama. Run. Just then, a Hidden Clouds village Anbu prisoner on the ship urgently shouted at Killer Bee. Whitebeard is very strong. He captured our 2 tails Jinchuriki, Yujiro-sama. He also defeated Akatsuki by himself a while ago. Ugh. Sasuke didn't know where he found a cloth, forcefully stuffed it into the other's mouth, almost reaching the other's throat. This made the Hidden Clouds village Anbu involuntarily roll his eyes. Yo. I'm the Killer Bee of Hidden Clouds village, how could I possibly retreat? It doesn't rhyme. Killer Bee had no intention of running away. Mainly because he had absolute confidence in his own strength, and the strength of the 8 tails. Because he knew very well how powerful the 8 tails was. Although he and Yujiro were both perfect Jinchurikas, his strength was much stronger than Yujito's. Moreover, he had been in Unrai Gorge until he was quite fed up. Killer Bee even wanted to take this opportunity to have a good time. Presumably, Big Brother Raikage wouldn't blame him. Just as Killer Bee's thoughts flashed through his mind, he suddenly noticed that the little devil in front of him made a move again. Wind style, wind cutting technique. Naruto quickly formed seals with both hands, and spat out an invisible wind blade from his mouth. With the enhancement of the Nine Tails chakra, the wind blade was as long as 10 meters. Killer Bee's eyes under the sunglasses narrowed slightly. He quickly dodged this wind-style ninjutsu, and threw his 4 ninja swords towards Naruto's direction. Then he also quickly approached Naruto. When Naruto, barehanded, blocked the 4 ninja swords with his observation haki. Killer Bee was already close at hand. Killer Bee didn't use his ninja swords, but punched Naruto's head. Naruto's face showed a smile. He actually also clenched a small fist, and hit Killer Bee's fist head-on. The 2 fists, one big and one small, collided in midair. Choosing to fight hard. Both of them were very strong in their own right, and with the power of their respective tailed beasts, they both flew backwards at the same time. Naruto flew backwards a good few tens of meters, making a dozen or so water skids on the water surface. Killer Bee flew back a dozen meters, then stood firmly on the water surface. This little kid is even more talented than his father. Although Killer Bee had the upper hand, he was still surprised. Naruto climbed up from the water surface, rubbing his somewhat sore right fist. This guy is really strong. Maybe it's a bit inferior to Atsunada's monstrous strength, but it doesn't seem to be much worse. Naruto looked down at the skin of his finger bones and found that there were a few bruises on it. You know, he even used armament haki just now. This shows that he was also crushed by the other party in taijutsu. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr So you've been neglecting your training recently. Tomorrow I'll triple your training volume for pops. The expression on Naruto's face suddenly froze. It's over. He could already imagine how miserable he would be tomorrow. Then, Whitebeard's gaze fell on Killer Bee. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr choices. First, get beaten half to death by me, and then become a prisoner of the Whitebeard pirates. Second, become my, Whitebeard's, son. In the ninja world where everyone is a glass cannon. Suddenly seeing a ninja brat who is quite good at taijutsu. Whitebeard is very interested. Chapter 261, The Terror of Whitebeard. Full 8 Tails Transformation. Kurama's defenses breached twice. Let me be your son? I'd rather be beaten half to death. But saying that seems to boost your morale and diminish my prestige. Let's put it this way, together with the 8 Tails, we'll defeat you, Whitebeard. As Killer Bee spoke, he danced and gestured, but in a moment of carelessness, one of the swords tucked under his armpit slipped into the water. Startled, he quickly flicked his foot to retrieve the sword, securing it once again in his armpit. Yo. I think my rhyming lines are pretty slick, I should jot them down in my little notebook. Killer Bee grew more excited. However, when he tried to pull out his notebook and pencil, he realized that both items had already been shattered by Whitebeard's power. This kid is indeed intriguing. Whitebeard faced Killer Bee's eccentricity without a hint of disdain or scorn. Instead, he became even more interested. After all, aboard the former Moby Dick, each of Whitebeard's sons had unique personalities and remarkable traits. Whitebeard. Let's settle this once and for all. If you lose to me, release both captives and let them return to their village. Killer Bee clutched 7 ninja swords and was enveloped in a tailed beast chakra cloak. He dared to meet Whitebeard's gaze head-on. In fact, Killer Bee even negotiated these terms with Whitebeard. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr Whitebeard grinned. Boom. Instantly, the water beneath Killer Bee erupted in waves, and his figure vanished in the blink of an eye. When he reappeared, he was directly above Whitebeard's head. Killer Bee spun like a top, the 7 ninja swords slicing through the air with a sharp whistle, as if aiming to decapitate Whitebeard. Each blade's edge crackled with lightning-style chakra. This was Killer Bee's specialty, the sonic shock lightning-style blade. A ninjutsu with greater piercing power than wind style. Whitebeard slightly raised his left arm, covered in a layer of black armament hockey. As a series of metallic clashes rang out, sparks burst forth, dazzling the eyes. Whitebeard swung his left arm. This seemingly simple motion generated a fierce gale, threatening to sweep Killer Bee's body away. Just as Killer Bee was about to collide with a mountainside, he suddenly planted his feet on the cliff. In a peculiar posture, he stood there like a spider. Killer Bee glanced at the ninja sword strapped to his body. Beneath his shades, his eyes revealed a hint of surprise. His body is unbelievably tough. Even after the swords cut into him, he didn't shed a drop of blood. Amidst his shock, Killer Bee's natural rhyming instincts seemed to have vanished. And what was going on with his arm just now? Why did it suddenly change color, like it was covered with an invisible armor? Killer Bee was carefully analyzing Whitebeard's strange ability. Don't look at him as if he's a brainless brute with muscles in his brain. In fact, during a fight, his thoughts are more delicate than anyone else's. Juki, can you ask the 9 tails in that little devil? What kind of strange ability is this, Whitebeard? Killer Bee asked the 8 tails beast inside him. The 8 tails Juki responded in a deep voice. The 9 tails doesn't want to say anything, it just said it wants to see us get beaten up. That arrogant guy, I really want to beat him up. Is that so? Then I can only go hard. Since sharp weapons couldn't do anything to Whitebeard, Killer Bee simply threw away his ninja sword in a carefree manner. Looking up at the giant in front of him, Killer Bee slightly lifted his feet, and with a bang, a pit several meters in diameter suddenly appeared under his feet. Killer Bee's body was shot out like a cannonball, and the beast coat on him dragged out a conspicuous tail flame under his speed. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Whitebeard. Lariat. Roar. With Killer Bee's roar, his right arm was about to hit Whitebeard's face. But the next second, a big hand suddenly reached out to him. Under Killer Bee's shocked gaze, this big hand only used 3 fingers to pinch his right arm. Killer Bee's lariat was easily blocked like this. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr highly praised others, and then he threw Killer Bee high into the air. Whoosh! Killer Bee's body broke through the sound barrier and was thrown into the sky, even shattering the smaller clouds above. Brat. Let's see if you can survive. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr his sword towards the sky. Whitebeard didn't use the power of the devil fruit, nor did he use armament hockey. It's just an ordinary sword actually slashed out a very amazing slash. The slash spread hundreds of meters in length, charging straight into the sky with an irresistible force. B. The Eight-Tails Juki immediately reminded Killer B, whose brain was a bit dazed. When Killer B reacted, he opened his eyes and looked down, only to see the terrifying slash, charging straight into the sky. Killer B's pupils shrank slightly. Juki. The color of the semi-transparent chakra coat on his body visibly deepened. From semi-transparent orange-red, it quickly turned into a very deep dark red. It was also at this moment that all human characteristics of Killer B's body disappeared. This is the half-beast transformation of the Jinchuriki. Other Jinchurikas need a certain amount of time to charge up to this state. But as a perfect Jinchuriki, Killer B can do it with just a thought. Killer B's two sturdy arms were crossed in front of him, and the 8 dark red tails behind him also extended to block in front of him. The arms and tails overlapped to form a very thick shield. The next moment, the slash fell directly on him. An indescribable tearing sensation first came from the tails, and just one face-to-face encounter, 2 of the tails were cut off. The impact of the slash made Killer B's dark red body still flying upwards. Roar. The half-beast transformed Killer B let out a roar. The remaining 6 tails and 2 arms desperately grabbed the seemingly physical slash. The dark red figure twisted wildly in the sky, using a technique that harnessed external force to propel the attack away. The severed tails regrew, and Killer B looked down at the tiny ship below. From the tip of his swaying tail, he suddenly sprayed black ink. Driven by the ink, he rapidly descended. The friction between the tail beast cloak and the air ignited layers of flames. Like a colossal fireball plummeting from the heavens. Why does everyone in this ninja world seem to wield flame abilities? Gorurura. Ace, that foolish son of mine, feels like a novice compared to this. Whitebeard squinted as he gazed at the fireball above. He took a deep breath and blew upward. Under Whitebeard's breath, the flames enveloping Killer B were instantly extinguished. Facing the descending Killer B, Whitebeard swung his blade upward. Murakamagiri's edge collided fiercely with Killer B's half-transformed form. The impact shattered the ship beneath Whitebeard's feet into fragments. Naruto, Sasuke, Hinata, Kakashi, Izumi, and the 2 Hidden Clouds village captives standing behind Whitebeard were all sent flying by the shockwave. Kakashi acted swiftly, catching Sasuke on one side and Hinata on the other, landing safely on the water surface hundreds of meters away. The powerful airflow whipped Kakashi's white hair wildly. Kakashi, with his dead fish eyes, couldn't help but comment. Shouldn't we move farther away? It feels like the next few kilometers won't be safe. Naruto quickly grabbed the 2 captives to prevent them from escaping during the chaos. Izumi Uchiha also assisted Naruto in securing the prisoners. These 2 Hidden Clouds village captives wouldn't have a chance to flee. After all, for the Whitebeard pirates, these 2 individuals were worth several million Baileys each. In terms of value, they could fund a new Moby Dick with 2 large caliber cannons. Is this the Eight-Tails Jinchuriki? His power is immense even in this half-transformed state. He's much stronger than the Two-Tails Jinchuriki, isn't he? Izumi Uchiha marveled at the distant scene. The strength of this Hidden Clouds village Jinchuriki far exceeded her expectations. If it weren't for Pops sitting here with the Whitebeard pirates, they wouldn't stand a chance against this Eight-Tails Jinchuriki, even if they all attacked together. Naruto was equally surprised. He couldn't help muttering. Why does the Eight-Tails seem more formidable than the Nine-Tails? Kurama? You little brat. What are you saying? Kurama's sealed voice broke through. You think I'm weaker than an octopus with a bull's head? Don't mess with me, kid. If I were at full strength, I could pin it down with one hand. Kurama ratted madly. You dare challenge me? If you're so confident, unseal me, and I'll take on Juki in a 300-round battle. How could it be my match? Naruto wasn't falling for Kurama's tricks. He knew that if the Great Fox truly broke free, it would cause chaos. On the other side, Murakamagi Ray clashed with Killer Bee's half-transformed form. In this power struggle, Killer Bee was once again forced back, sent flying by Whitebeard's strike. This time, his body crashed heavily into a collapsing mountain peak, causing it to crumble further. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr remained unchanged as he surrounded his right fist with a vibrating shockwave. Without hesitation, he threw a punch through the air. With a crack sound of glass shattering, a collapsed mountain in front was shattered by the force of the vibration. A large amount of rubble and soil splashed in all directions. The rolling river below also stirred up 100-meter wave rushing towards that side. Although the ship under Whitebeard's feet had been completely shattered, with the help of Moonwalk in Marine 6 styles, Whitebeard could float in the air in a unique way. Whitebeard indeed couldn't walk on water like a ninja, after all, he didn't have chakra in his body. But he could step on the air. Although this method consumes more physical strength than walking on water with chakra. But Whitebeard, who was in peak health, has almost infinite physical strength. The speed of consuming physical strength is not as fast as the speed of recovery. And Killer Bee, who was hit head-on by the power of the Quake fruit, spat out a mouthful of blood, and his body was severely injured everywhere. But a second later, the power of the tailed beast healed his injuries. Killer Bee's tailed beast coat appeared a bit damaged. One can imagine how amazing the destructive power of Whitebeard's understated blow is. The effect of the Quake fruit's ability may not be as omnipotent as some fruits, but in terms of destructive power, if the Quake fruit is second, absolutely no one dares to be first. This guy is so powerful. Killer Bee's damaged tailed beast coat was slowly healing, facing such a strong enemy. He didn't have the mind to rhyme when he spoke, whether it's strength or speed, I'm not half as good as him. Juki inside Killer Bee reminded him. Be careful of his strange vibrational power. That man called Whitebeard probably didn't make a serious move. If he had just made that blow seriously, you might have been stunned. Hearing this, Killer Bee was stunned. Is it that exaggerated? Believe my judgment. Juki said. Killer Bee became more serious, that's really an outrageously strong pirate. He slowly climbed up from a pile of ruins. Just as his gaze wanted to search for Whitebeard's trace, he found that Whitebeard had already disappeared from his original position. Above. Juki's voice suddenly sounded. Killer Bee's pupils shrank, and he quickly looked up. He found that Whitebeard's figure did appear above his head. At this moment, Whitebeard was falling from the sky, so fast that he couldn't dodge. Whitebeard grabbed Killer Bee's half-beast transformed head with one hand. After slightly lifting Killer Bee's body, he heavily smashed it down again. Bang! When Killer Bee was a little dazed by the smash, a group of vibrational light waves appeared in the palm of Whitebeard's hand that was holding Killer Bee. Buzz! The intense vibration was devastating, making Killer Bee roll his eyes on the spot. The half-beast transformed body was constantly twitching, and the tailed beast chakra coat surging on his body showed very violent fluctuations. Whitebeard gently threw Killer Bee, and a terrifying heavy punch hit the opponent's body. Whitebeard's monstrous strength is not something anyone can handle. Killer Bee was brutally beaten by Whitebeard like a toy, his body flew backwards like a cannonball. He made countless water skids on the water surface. His body repeatedly crashed through several mountains. The tailed beast coat became tattered. You must use all your strength. No more cautiously testing his abilities, otherwise, he'll definitely kill you. Damn it, are you about to pass out? Ugh, I guess I'll have to step in. After Juki's loud shout, the tailed beast's power was truly unleashed. During Killer Bee's backward flight, his body underwent a massive transformation. The 8 dark red chakra tails behind him began to materialize, turning into thick, sturdy tentacles. As Killer Bee continued to fly backward, his size grew, resembling an inflated balloon. After crashing through yet another mountain peak, the true form of Juki, the 8 tails, was revealed. A terrifying colossal beast stood tall above the river. At this moment, Killer Bee's backward momentum finally ceased. He had flown over 2,000 meters away. Juki, the Eight Tails, was a brown giant ox with 8 octopus-like tentacles swirling around its body, exuding intense restlessness. One of Juki's horns was visibly broken. It had been shattered during Juki's rampage in Hidden Cloud's village when he fought the third Raikage. Roar! The tailed beast let out a sky-piercing howl, even shattering the clouds above. Despite the 2,000-meter distance, Juki's immense size allowed it to overlook Whitebeard in the distance. That human called Whitebeard really rubs me the wrong way. Killer Bee, a Jinchuriki I quite like, has been beaten into this state. Juki's eyes reflected its volatile emotions. The 8 massive tentacles behind it thrashed wildly, creating waves that reached dozens of meters high. Suddenly, Juki's colossal form erupted with speed several times faster than Killer Bee's. Visible shockwaves formed as it broke the sound barrier. What a huge bull! Or maybe an octopus. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr massive Juki charging straight at him, Whitebeard's face showed no fear. Instead, a hint of nostalgia. From a distance, Kakashi and the others witnessed Juki's colossal body. What a massive tailed beast! Izumi Uchiha couldn't help but exclaim. It seems even larger than the two tails. It's like a gigantic mountain of flesh. Naruto was equally amazed. Definitely fiercer than the giant fox. Kurama? You little brat. Dare to say that again. Kurama had broken its restraint twice today. Chapter 262, The Constricting Strike of the Conqueror's Haki.